alijaribu kumtembelea mwenyewe kama deputy president, at least asimamishe hiyo kitu, akamwambia aenda akaambie Kalonzo, and he had the authority to do that. So Gachagua was somehow biased, and to me it deserves to go. Actually, I was very happy kuona MP wamefanya kazi mzuri, the Senate wamefanya kazi mzuri, and the court will be able to that process. So we thank Kenyans, and we have shown some kind of calmness. Sahii tumeimarika kwa upande wa masomo na kila kitu, so we understand politics in every dynamic, and I'm very happy and proud Gen Z that all of us we get to munch and learn that we belong to Kenya, all of us, and we deserve equal share regardless of our tribal, regional, religion or racial boundaries. And again, I think Kithure Kindiki is a good gentleman, and we have to give him time. Remember, he has just begun a new role to unify the disunited Kenyans and disunited arts. So tutampea time tuone venye atafanya. Sisi tulikuwa tunataka kiongozi, but the president has the greatest influence above all. So kama ni umoja wa Kenya, basi the president himself as the chief unifier, he should be at the core front line to unify all the Kenyans. Mimi kitu nasisitiza ni kwa to remain kuwa united, especially Gen Zs, because from the beginning Kenya hatujakuwa united, tumekuwa tukigawanya kisiasa. To remain kuwa united, and together we shall achieve great. It's my hope by 2027 that all the Gen Zs watajitokeza kung'ang'ania viti fulani, starting from the ward representatives to the president. Na hiyo basi tukipata wetu wa kutuongoza huko mbele tutakuwa na msemo. So naomba tu wa Kenya tuwe na utilifu kwa wakati kama huu, na we wait for the court proceedings, and after that we will be have the conditions henceforth. Thank you.
Right. Thank you so much, Sam, for that submission. Is Sema to keep calm, and I think we also need to be calm on that as well. Tusivutwe kwenda kwa hizo tribal rhetoric. And I don't think Kenyans are disunited. Politicians are disunited. We are united. We know exactly what we want. It's the politicians who are coming to bring us politics, the familiars, union. We don't care about that. All we care about is the hunger that seems to be murdering us. Is the social health insurance fund that seems to be working only in their heads. Wycliffe Opondo, how are you doing?
Very fine, sir.
Karibu sana kwenye home run. Maoni yako ni gani, Wycliffe? Talk to us.
I have mixed feelings about the whole thing about Gachagua being impeached and Kindiki being proposed as the next DP. But all said, maybe we don't have that. We don't have power. It's them who have the power to do what they want. But again, for Gachagua, one of the things that maybe would make me get annoyed about him was maybe his speeches. But I think down deep in his heart, he was a good man, despite maybe his utterances in speech. As for Kindiki, as somebody has said there about the killings and the murders, kidnaps here and there, for me, I think I have an issue with that. But there's nothing we can do. But as somebody said, we just be united, we do our things together, and we shall carry on. We hope maybe the government will start now working. If at all Gachagua was the problem, we want to see them start working for Wananchi. We want to see development. These rhetorics, I hope we reach a place now.
Allah, Wycliffe. Are you there, Wycliffe? Wycliffe, are you there? Umepotea? Kwani walimute, wana mute hadi videos. How are you doing, Malia? Mali, are you there? Allah. Is it me?
Unatusikia lakini. Hello. Hello? Peter, can you hear us? Is everybody there?
This is Home Run with Pipi.
Malia, how are you doing? Can you hear me?
Fine. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you. Talk to me.
Can you hear me?
Ndio.
What? What a week it has been. Oh my. Oh my. What a week. Oh my God. Is this the kind of government that we are having? This is crazy, man. You know, like, if this can happen to a deputy president, what about the rest of us, bana? Yani unatoanishwa within 24 hours, bana. Umetoanishwa. I'm even worried about this guy. I think he should even leave the country for his own security, because TBs, I'll not be surprised to hear something bad has happened to this guy, because Najani is very vindictive. Ruto is a very vindictive person. Si ule mtu mwenye ati anakwaga amekupiga, then you've gone down, then he just leaves you like now he's gone and he walks away. He wants to destroy you, kabisa. So this guy, I think he should even just leave the country possible. Aseme ni matibabu anaendea hiyo heart problem yake ama whatever it was, and just leave the country, because you're dealing with a crazy person. This guy is crazy. I mean, can you see, like, you could see what he did to Gen Z, but can you see what he can do to people? Imagine Gachagua, you know, Gachagua, as much as whatever he did was said, he's the person who funded him, and that's why he picked Gachagua over Kindiki, because Gachagua funded him in billions with a lot of his money so that he could win the election, and then now this is how he can repay him. Forgetting how alifungwa Uhuru. I'm not declaring Gachagua. Gachagua might be a really terrible person, and for all intents and purposes, he is a bad person. If at all what he did, what is being said is true, that he did to his brother's estate. But what do you expect from Kenyan politicians? But all what I'm saying is, with the kind of grace which Uhuru extended to him, and the way he was a menace. In fact, he was such a menace to Uhuru, and Uhuru hardly ever even bothered him much, you know. And now this is what he can do over something which, even whatever it is, but this guy helped him so much and helped him to be able to clinch the seat. So you can say this guy, he has no friends. Even Kidure Kindiki, it's just a matter of time wakosania to Bahali, and he'll do the worst to him. You know. So anybody who is sitting greedy, thinking, including ODM guys, thinking that, first of all, this guy is very insecure. He's very insecure. Anytime when he sees you to be a threat, that's the end of the story for you. Like, he's going to get rid of you, he'll get you killed. This is just Moi reloaded, by the way. You know the way Moi killed Hauko? Like, just because the Europeans like him, because he has good English, and Moi Yapame. The white people, he killed him because of that. You know. So this is what he can, and then you can hear now the guys already started talking about 15 years, but slums would be eradicated in the next 15 years. Meaning what? He's intending to stay on the seat for the next 30 years. What is that kind of talk? No. So let's not be distracted by this issue. We should now start seeing for real what kind of a monster is actually heading this country. This is just a crazy person. Like, I can't believe it personally, and I don't even envy Kindiki. Kindiki doesn't know. You know, Kindiki, by the way, he's just a clean guy mwenye hajaijihusisha kwa mambo za uchafu. So when he entered the Ministry of Interior, ashajipaka uchafu na history ya Gen Z. Sasa ameenda kukuwa vice president. Atapakwa matope. The good reputation he has worked all his life to have, a good reputation, no corruption, no nothing, clean guy. it's all going to go down the drain because of Ruto. Because Ruto, anything he touches just inakuwa imesmiariwa na uchafu, because he's so dirty inside and out. So even associating with him, you will just be drawn into some other bad things, you know. And that's why he wants Kindiki, because Kindiki is a clean guy, he's an innocent guy, ajui mambo mingi, ajui the kind of the kind of crazy shit that goes on with this politics. That's why he wants him. Eh? But now Kindiki himself needs to understand that if he wants a future in this country, a political future, he better be very careful how he's dealing with this guy. And if he's going to be supporting his policies, because what he wants a puppet who will just be saying yes, 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 you know, and it will spoil his work. I'm telling you, I don't know, but to be very honest, right now, and he's now trying to divide the Mount Kenya region, the east and the west, because ameona sasa both zimeenda because of Gachagua, so he has decided akuja side ingine, akuja divide brothers, and that's the formula which he's using in all trades, and that's how Moi used to operate. Those of you who knew Moi was a guy of divide and rule, anawa divide na anawa rule, anawacha mkipigana yeye anaenda anaiba chenye anataka. You know, if you go to Northeastern and divide Wajiri or divide what was Garissa, Maclan, that's what he used to thrive on. And you can see he's working very well. Hata kwa Gen Z, unaona venye amegawa. So that is his strategy. Agawa Mount Kenya, watu wa Mount Kenya wakuwe kando kando, watu wa Ukambani wakuwe sini wakamba wa east side na east side hivyo. So sele mko busy hapo mnapigana na Gen Z, kuna hii group ya Morara, kuna hii group sijui ya nani mwingine. As you are busy fighting there, yeye ako busy na plans zake venye atakalia kiti for 30 years. How can somebody say the next 15 years, which he doesn't even know whether he'll have after 2027 he will have a seat, for him to come here and start telling people that there'll be no slums in the next 15 years? How? Him himself, all the projects which were started by Uhuru, he stopped them. They've stalled. He started his own. Akabadilisha NHIF to be chief. Everything alikuwa anabadilisha ikuwe venye anataka. So what does that tell? That telling this guy has no intention of leaving the seat, even beyond his term limit of 2032. Hapo akai. Yeah? So Kenyans, by the way, jamaa anataka kuturudisha back to Moi, because this was the kind of nonsense we used to see in Moi, whereby Moi uko kwa gava asubuhi, lunchtime akisimama pali kupanda miti ama kufanya soil erosion, anasema nimefuta so and so kazi. That is the kind of an environment we want to go back to. Because ukiona hizi vitu venye zinafanywa ni kama watu walilipwa wakaambua wafanye, there is no even recourse in law. Sasa nimeona injunction imewekwa, conservatory orders, and there I don't know whether they'll swear in this guy, but I was hearing that by the end of today he was supposed to have been sworn in. But what is the hurry? What is this hurry? There is up to 60 days limit for you to appoint a deputy president. So what is all this about? Which we are hurrying ni kama dunia inaisha, hatuwezi hata to have any, give any time to it, inakaa ni kama dunia inaisha. So all I can tell Kenyans, now you are beginning to see the real Moi. Those of you wenye hamko mnajua Moi, mlikuwa tu mnasikianga kuna jamaa anaitwa Moi. Sasa hivi ndio alikuwa na operate. Asubuhi wewe ni deputy president, lunch hour anakupaka. Only that now he's using MPs to do it, because he can't do it outside the constitution. So he's now using the constitution to do for him his dirty work. Unashindwa sasa nani ametoa conservatory orders, this judge charter. Na the chief justice is supposed to go and swear Kindiki in now. Anyway, let's wait and see, because all what I can tell you, I'm seeing Moi reloaded. That's all what I'm seeing this guy. With every step he's taking, I just see Moi. So this was just how Moi used to operate. But let me tell you, it was a shit life, and life is going to be shit. If this is what the life that we are going to, if you are going back to that life of Moi, it was a shit life. Let me tell you, you couldn't even talk. Haungeongea venye sasa tunaongea na inaanza tu pole pole. Don't think that it's just one day all your rights are trampled. Inaanza tu little by little, because imagine this is the whole deputy president anatitiwa hivi. What about mtu wa kawaida? So you want to instill so much fear that if you go against me, this is what will happen to you. Within a day utakuwa umetoka. It's so crazy. and I'm not amused personally, and this is very wrong, very, very wrong. And we cannot, as Kenyans, we cannot entertain this kind of shit, because this is taking us back to 2002. Tuliacha hiyo life 2002, hiyo life ya kuishi kuogopa, unaogopa hata ukiongea huwezi ongea freely, unaogopa utashikwa, utapelekwa torture chambers, utapelekwa torture chambers. I mean, we are living such a horrible life. If he doesn't like someone, he just like Ouko was so innocent. That guy has never done anything to Moi. And Moi just kills him. Yani, lingine mbaya, hata si angemuua tu yenye mwili ibaki at least waziki. Mpaka anachomwa na acid nini. Like, even nobody was safe. Even tourists when wanakuja in the country, watoto wake
1 minute to land, Malia. 1 minute to land.
Yeah. So I'm very worried, because I'm worried because niliona hiyo life, and I feel bad to imagine tunaweza rudi hiyo life. Otherwise, thank you for the space.
All right. Thank you so much, Malia, for that submission. Today, it was so fast. I think they were told before news ya saa 7, tunataka Kithure akuwe amekuwa deputy president. And in a special sitting of the Senate, they have, of course, voted 100%, 246-0, to appoint Abraham Professor Kithure Kindiki as the new DP. General China, how do you like our new efficiency in dictatorship?
I'm so happy today. First time of history, I'm being served by 2 deputy presidents. It is so funny as a country. You wonder which direction are we heading to as a country. So things are being pushed up to now, even getting rumors that it's not even the issue of parliament approval. There are even plans in place for this guy to be sworn in today. So luckily things are running in a very awkward situation. But who are we? We are here to watch. We want to see how it will roll up, because this is now a fight that we don't know when it will end. But what I know, these guys, like these are things that are already pre-planned. They are already planned them, that by the end of today or end of tomorrow, they will have their deputy president to commemorate the Mashujaa Day on Sunday. So it's like a tricky situation. Hata unashangaa which unaanza kutoa opinion kutoka wapi ukielekea wapi. Me right now I'm standing in the wilderness of confusion. I'm just waiting to hear what will come out of this. But it's a strange situation. For the first time, I'm very happy. I've been living where at one point I had 2 deputy presidents under the constitution that states that we need to have one. So as for now, I'm still watching. I'm still waiting for what will happen next. Yes.
Thank you for that, Bwana General China. Your submission gets us to 2 minutes to the top of the hour. Shout out to everybody who's tuned in. Winnie Atiz anasema anataka kukuwa wakili juu aliona Elisha Ongoyo akipeleka mtu mbio. Of course, huko hivi walikuwa wanafanya ile inaitwa kuwasha sparks. Walikuwa wanaongea hivyo, nasikia kweli hawa wameshinda kesi ya DP. Lakini there's a reason why those charges came in 11, so that hata zingeanguka 10 moja ingetoboa. And it's a very long process, as I'm looking at. And Aguko Hannington is looking for a lawyer. Come on, Wakili, kindly jump onto the microphone. I'd like to hear from you as well. Thanks to General China and Luka and Malia for being here. DK Gift, mambo vipi?
Poa sana, mambo kufiti?
Bro, niko poa. 1 minute naangalia Rashid Abdalla akisema mnaona itakuwaje, the next wanapiga kura, bro.
Mara hiyo, mimi unajua, first of all nianze, jana nilibleki katikati ya voting yao jana usiku. So nilibleki, mimi sama nikijaribu kufuatilia story yote, niliamka saa 8 na shindwa mbona kumenyamaza. Na realize space ilisha kitambo. And then today you wake up, the first thing hata nilijiuliza, huyu mtu ameshavetiwa kila kitu na amepresentiwa kwa parliament. And I'm assuming you're vetting, because nilisikia amevetiwa ni 7 different bodies, amevetiwa mpaka ni IBC. Nikajiuliza, Pipita, wewe ulikuwa umeona kukiwa na IBC mali? Ama labda mimi na wewe tunaishi kwa island? Mi siko sure, but somehow someone was vetted na asubuhi ndio huyu. And within 6 hours, ladies and gentlemen, we are in a country where we have 2 deputy presidents. One has been denied by the government, and the other one has been barred from enjoying what is being given to enjoy by the court. I don't think we've ever been in another place like this place ever before. And tasema vitu mbili. Number one, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, I would like to officially welcome you to the era that your very dishonorable Excellency William Ruto has brought you to, which is nothing short than a tribalistic situation. And contrary, in fact, I'll read for you guys one of our listeners' tweet from about 3 hours before today. Baka, I was just to see it from her as an advocate of the court, because she said, contrary to what we have all believed as popular opinion, this impeachment process was not a distraction. It was to return us to the tribal era where division and confusion was the norm. And if you want any evidence, look at the last couple of days, look at the tweets going on today, and watch the media today. It has been from jumping to central side, showing the discomfort that is on that side and the split that has happened in between the so-called Murema, and on the other side, people wakishangilia mtu wao amechukuliwa, and on another side, several people and several affiliated to different tribes feeling left out. In fact, I saw a tweet earlier today from an MP, I think from Luya Land, who actually was saying that he amongst others, they feel duped because they voted for this knowing that they had been given some sort of insinuation that the city is going to go to them. That's exactly that. This, my people, if you know anyone who plays chess players, proper professional chess players, play 3, 4, some even 5 moves ahead. By the time you're making your move, they've done 5 calculations down the line. Every single one of these things have been calculated moves that are being pulled out from this virtual cabinet somewhere. They're like, play 297, put it in play. Play 385, put it in play. All of this is ploys and plays that have been well calculated and well thought through. And so one of the things that I am starting to embrace in my mind is that this is a man who, when you hear him speaking about 15 years, we are going to be this and that, this is clearly a man who has no intention in his mind to leave that seat. This is a man who has all intention to turn his name and his family into a dynasty, equivalent to those who have been dynasties in this country. This is a man who is out to, and I use this word without shadow of a doubt, has decided to completely rape the sovereignty of the legislature, the executive itself, and very sure for a fact, if he already has not done it, inclusive of the judiciary system. Hiyo ndio maoni yangu saizi. Open time baba, wacha kaende.
Wacha naona Ochani yako hapa hivi ndani. Nimeona Dr. Mbiti amesema hapa kitu inaye mpaka niiseme kwa hii space. I said it on spaces that William Ruto is a smart guy, and yeye akiwa among other smart chess players walisema kwamba anacheza draft. Kati ya wao wenye wanacheza chess na huyu mwenye anacheza draft, nani yako kadi saizi? If you underestimate your opponent, this is what we get. Ochani, hi, we have 2 vice presidents. Oh, nyinyi mko na vice president wawili kwenye huko.
You know, we're in a bad situation. First of all, thanks for opening the space, and there's a nice discussion. I would like, first of all, to respond to somebody who said that no family member came up and responded to these allegations against Gachagua. I saw a tweet by Lai yesterday and insinuating that Gachagua misused something that, and one of the sons of the late brother came out and said that that's not true. It's a slander against the uncle. So I don't know if these things were forced or coerced. It's hard to know family dynamics. But for me, politics is something that's really dirty. What happens is that they will try and throw mud in every direction to see what sticks. Looking at or watching that proceedings of what was happening in Parliament, it's just an indication that they were trying everything, including Mutuse himself. He didn't even put together a case that was strong. But thing is, he had the crowd to back his case up. And all those things that they're bringing forward to implicate Gachagua, I'm not even saying that he's innocent. Maybe he's taken something from his brother that he's not supposed to take. Maybe because of the authority that he has, he's tried to wrestle in every way. Why bring that up? Just to cause sensation amongst the masses and have people think that, to have this impression that, hey, this guy, he has been bad in public and he's also bad in private. And when you also look at the family dynamics, he's so terrible at it. That's the picture they were trying to paint. I'm not even supporting the guy. I don't like him. But the most scary part was the speed and the unison with which this
Ochani, are you there?
Can you hear me?
Yes, I know umerudi.
Oh,
Ulipotea
sorry. I
hapo
don't
kwa
know.
the speed with which.
Yeah, they moved so quick in the Senate and also in Parliament. And it's so shocking because I look at April, May, when we had something that we thought was an opposition, right? And then I look at this time when we had protests. And then this moment when we seem to be having nobody, it's the government against the people of the nation. And I'm just shocked that there is nobody. The people who sounded reasonable, right now they look like they cannot even reason or defend the normal mwananchi. For me, these allegations that have been brought forward against Gachagua, when they go to the Senate or when they go to the Parliament, I expected, yeah, he's probably committed some crimes or he's probably done things that are worth impeaching him. Do it, but who is innocent amongst you if you have the most guilty people who are throwing stones in all directions? So what exactly are we left with? And what is the hurry? You are impeaching somebody who went into an election together with the president. The president is so quiet, but you're seeing all this rush to impeach the deputy president. Why was he not afforded a fair hearing with enough time for him to be able to defend himself? And I'm not even saying that the guy is innocent, but I'm just trying to look at the speed with which everyone operated. And it's so scary that you have all these people you think that can defend you or defend the normal Mwananchi, but all of them seem to have been captured by one person or serving one master. And I'm here thinking, who exactly are these people serving? Is it Ruto? How is Ruto able to mobilize everyone in Parliament, in the Senate, to support him or support his ideas? It is extremely scary. And then after that thought, you're thinking about what else is going to happen, because we have legislations, we have these bills that are in Parliament, we have things that have already been passed, we have court orders, we have parts of the constitution that have been ignored by the same people in authority. And you ask yourself, where are we as a nation? Where are we heading to? And who's going to respect this constitution that we put so much money and a lot of efforts to put together? And I think we went into two rounds of votes
in order for us to have a new constitution. And if we cannot respect it, then what exactly is governing us? And what do they plan? Right now, we have a proposal to have the term extended to 7 years. If what we thought was the opposition in Parliament and in the Senate is currently, they appear to be serving the biggest power or a master, that's not the people who voted them in. Are they going to also push this forward? We have the likes of Mbadi, Opiyo Wandayi, who are against the finance bill, and who are totally against, I think it's called, this money that was given to the youth as loans, Hustler Fund. You have Oparanya in charge of it right now, and he is the first person who actually trashed it. So does it mean that everyone has a price in this parliament that we have, the current administration? Look at the parliament, look at the Senate. Everyone has a price, and it's so scary that nobody is going to defend us. And so the question that I kind of put across to us is, who's going to defend us and how is it going to be? Because all these nations that we probably looked up to and thought, because during finance bill, we also had demonstrations or protests in different parts of the world. And we didn't hear a lot of people speaking with regard to, hey, stop the killings or condemning what was happening in Kenya. And I'm just wondering, the person was awarded a prize when he went to the UN event for good governance. And I'm just asking myself, where is the good governance if already you had a report in January indicating that this finance bill that you're going to put across or you're going to propose to be adopted is something that's going to spur protest and there could potentially be fatalities. So what prize in governance are you getting if all these people who are behind passing of this finance bill are the same people who are standing behind you and clapping after you withdrew it? You had this report, you had this intelligence, and it's really strange, and I fail to understand which master is our administration serving. And yeah, that's just my contribution for today, Pipita. So I hope that we can be able to get some answers, so probably have a better perspective in the course of the discussion. Thank you.
Thank you so much for that thought-provoking submission, Ochani. You're normally those listeners. Sasa leo tumekupata on this side of the microphone.
Wacha niende sasa.
Hey, usiende kama kusalimia. Mimi nakuaga huku ninakusalimia huku juu na hujanisalimia. Habari yako?
Hi DJ Gift. I can hardly hear you. I think you're a little bit muffled.
Oh, sorry about that. But it's a pleasure to meet you.
Thanks. Pleasure to meet you too.
Kumbe kuna kitu inaitwa e-meeting. Hey.
Social conversations, engaging topics on your phone anyway. This is Home Run with Pippi.
Thank you everybody for e-meeting me.
This is Home Run with Pippi.
Okay, thanks so much for joining. Sir, to be serious. Okay, things are moving so fast, we don't even have a chance to laugh. So Saindon me realize in the past 3 days I've had a real laugh. Would a National Assembly comprised of representatives speaking the people's language stand against Ruto successfully if he makes to retain his seat in 2027? That's a question. DK is very interested to know what people think of that and if it sounds valid enough. Yes, I'm just asking, guys. Do we hatuna bunge? Jana tulikuwa tusha confirm we don't have a parliament. Whatever little gaze ama doubt tuko nayo tulimaliza jana. Senators, so apparently what happened, the MPs in the National Assembly are honest. So, M-Pesa ililia, wakafanya kweli, unanicheki. Lakini senators they had a closed meeting, wakaambiana huyu jamaa bado tunampeleka home, so to behave tu kama watu wenye tuko serious, because sisi ndio upper house, ndio tukae tuko serious nyofo. At the end of it all, wakavote to the same way they wanted to vote. Actually, they made sure, for avoidance of doubt, the first vote they did was no. Waliakisha ameimpeachwa by count 1, 53 against 24. Yes. 54-23. That was the vote. So it was already sure. So yeah, I think we have already lost that. Rigathi Gachagua knows he has lost a chance at probably going to fight for, to fight for his seat. But one thing that even piques my interest, and one of the speakers has spoken about it, is the way they brought up the family of the late Nderitu Gachagua. I feel like, guys, kama ukweli mzee ameharibu familia ya ndugu yake as people are claiming, najua hata look at umekuwa emotional, shika hii kiboko wewe. Kama ukweli mtu angekuwa anatesa familia ya hiyo familia ukweli, in the era of courts, in the era of in the era of media, don't you think the widow of Nderitu Gachagua would have gone before cameras aseme ukweli huyu deputy president wenu ananinyanyasa? Number 1. Number 2, don't you think there would be another reason apart from that yenye wanataka hizi properties za huyu Nderitu zikuwe zinaongelewa in public? For me, honestly, I was like, Ruto can stand a chance. During the UDA campaign, I was like, Ruto can stand a chance against Raila. He looks like a formidable opponent. I was like, Raila akichagua running mate. You remember the way they were waiting for each other to select running mates, and then suddenly everybody knew it was Professor Abraham Kindiki Kinduki was going to be the one who was going to be a DP, and then out of nowhere, I swear, many people's coffees fell from their hands when they had the name Nderitu Gachagua as the running mate, and many people did not know why. Regarding Gachagua, sorry, they did not know why this man was there. And the moment that man opened his mouth, we understood why we did not know him, because he is a local man in an international stadium. Ndio maana una realize aje wadau kwamba Professor Kithure Kindiki has gone to South Africa. Rigathi Gachagua, Madeira. And this guy, when he was taken on an international, ni kama uchukue house help somewhere huko Uganda, umlete huko Kenya ama Western huko hivyo, umlete Nairobi, and then you don't tell them about the ways of town. You would actually see the village in them. Even us, tulikuja town, kuna vitu zenye ushamba ulikuwa hapo. So it's the same thing that happened with this guy. And one thing I believe and trust is he was meant to keep on running his mouth to the ground. And actually, boy, did he do it. And that is actually among the top grounds that actually made him go. And then also, because he had paid for the government, he thought he owned the government. And that made him bully his staff, his people around him. If he really did, it's alleged. But yes, at the end of it all, we will never know. Take a gift.
One of my speculations, first to pick on what you just said, one of the biggest speculations I personally have had as far as Nani, the deputy president, signing his fate is concerned, is a situation where you'd find someone who was looked for because we needed to gain ownership of a certain quote-unquote company. And you look for an investor, you bring in the investor, having promised them certain levels of either equity, return, name it. And one of the things that happens with the investor is, because you have also placed them in a place of power somewhere and a place to be able to have a voice and be able to speak, they get into their heads number one. Number two, I was saying earlier in a space today that I have completely believed that the man himself, Rigathi Gachagua, must have stood out as the person to be taken on to be deputy president simply because of his ability to be able to finance what was needed at the time, and secondly, his ability to be a mobilizer, aka, forgive my language, his loudmouth. What would be called his loudmouth. And I think that same mouth is what actually now was known to be, was definitely going to be his downfall. Because he's a man who, just like venye umesema, ataisema tu venye iko, ataisema hua hivyo na ataongea maluku. And especially sasa, someone of that character, and they have that financial ability, and they believe that they hold you by the your thing is because they gave you the power that you have on your hands because of their financial capability, then that person believes they can step all over the place. And the truth of the matter is, I don't know whether he had actually played this out in his head. That is Ruto in this case. I don't know whether he had played out this as a scenario that would end up being on his hands. But I know for a fact that it is something that was definitely going to happen in one or the other, but it has caught everyone by surprise. The reason I'd lifted my hand is, and thank you for reading my question. I don't know if anyone will be willing to indulge me in that question, is what we just talked about with regards to the National Assembly and the Senate. We have clearly seen for ourselves, in a man who's been here for just 2 years, in 2 days, has been taken out by a Senate. A National Assembly that is clearly doing the bidding for the executive. Very, very clearly. It is not something that, it is not speculation. It is not a diabolical thinking. It is very, very clear. So I've been asking myself, and I've been attacked sana leo vipita, to the point subuhi mahali nilikuwa naongea niliambiwa ati naongelea mambo ya 2027 ati mimi, hata naona Anthony hapa, nitataja mimi, Anthony and someone else we were with that tunataka viti za MP, that's why tunaongelea mambo ya 2027. And what we were talking about that time is walking around the possible reality that this guy is not going anywhere, and that he will find a way to get that seat back in 2027. So I've been asking
ungesema hivyo June tungekuwa tusha ku remove his space. I miss those days.
Hata ninashukuru Mungu sana.
Ningekuwa nimekuuliza umelipwa ngapi? Yeah, shit.
Nivi asubuhi tumekuwa.
Continue. I want you to know that you're on our mercies right now. Endelea.
Asubuhi nilitwa NSIS, nilitwa spy, tuliambiwa sisi ni aspirants, tuliambiwa tumelipwa tuongee hivyo. And sometimes it's just because I'm looking at what is going on right now, that someone has decided, they know that if they come in any unconstitutional way, hadil na wajinga, Kenya iliisha wajinga. So whatever hostile takeover he needed to be done in a quote-unquote constitutional way, whereby he would need to find a way to take over the National Assembly, take over the Senate, so that whatever nonsense that he wants to do, he does it, and does it in quote-unquote constitutional way. So I was asking myself, Pipi, hypothetically speaking, that the man does find his own crooked way to still sit on that seat 2027, would a strategy of us who are speaking about making a change, I'm not going to talk just about young people, because this is no longer about a Gen Z conversation, it is many of us. I'm not a Gen Z, I'm a millennial, and a bunch of us who are here are either millennial, Gen X, Gen Z, all across. So we are all speaking about change. So what are the chances that if we decided one of the things that we will look at carefully is to hostile take over that National Assembly? So much so that we render him powerless in all the nonsense he would ever want to do. Of course, I know there's some of those we would put in legitly, speaking for us, quote unquote, who will probably be bought. I'm not stupid or dumb to that fact. But I ask myself, if 54% of the people who are seated in the parliament right now are people who are voted back in, what if we took the chance to turn that around, that 54% and that 60% to be for us? Would that, for whatever reason, take us to where Kibaki was after the 2007, that though he had won, he had a terrible time in that parliament. Sijui ama ilikuwa ni 11th ama ilikuwa what parliament ama ilikuwa 10th, that he had trouble trying to pass just any kind of bill because he had lost the majority in the assembly, and I stand corrected by anyone. So I've been asking myself that, and I hope anyone can be able to engage me in that question for a minute.
Hata nakwambia hapa umelipa unafikiria ni jokes. Hata mimi naweza kushuku umelipa bwana. Tuonyeshe payslip sasa. Payslip. Tuonyeshe payslip. Ladies and gentlemen, you're listening to Home Run with PP. It comes to you each and every weekday from 4 p.m. all the way to 9 p.m. East African time. And yeah, I'm glad that we're back to having social conversations without having to throw people outside or calling them the F word. Yeah. Whew, guys, mnajua kuwaka. Anyway, I'd like to tell you that later on today, we will be having a new video from HRWP. I've been trying to also create some bit of consistency on my YouTube channel. So there's also that coming up, HRWP coming up also with a new video and an analysis video between me and Obed Zoriku. And of course, I had one of our listeners here, Bwana Ray, jina yake anaitwa I comment in something. I think we know him because we've chased away from our space DK. Yeah, I didn't know it was him until he commented on the tweet. So I was like, okay, in person, uko na akili. Actually, Obed had told me about him earlier on. I want to first drop the tweet. I want to first drop the video. And then when I tag him, he's like, no way. It's not him. Yeah. So that is what is happening. But as we've heard, na sound kama nimechoka, guys. It's because I am tired. This week, Monday, I think I did the normal 4 to 9. Tuesday, we started now doing extra hours, 6 hours. Wednesday, 10 hours. Yesterday, 15 hours. So yeah, obviously, for someone who works 25 hours weekly, but this one was a lot. But yeah, we have to be hard out here for some reason. Kama ni kumutiwa, wacha tuendelee kuongea kabla watu mute. I want to see Malia Davis, ameinua mkono juu, and then I'll go to Eve and then Babu. Malia. I hope umetoka kwa kelele.
Niko home.
Okay, sir.
Niko kwa
Okay.
So let me tell you the future, because I've seen it. Any MP who is not going to toe the line of what William Ruto wants, you'll not even come back. And you can mark my words. Those people who voted yes, you'll tell me whether they'll come back to parliament. This guy is pushing a narrative of you are not going to go back to parliament, or even, in fact, you are not even going to have a political career, because what he has done to Gachagua is effectively he has finished him politically. After being impeached, he can't run for any other elected seat. He cannot hold public office in any capacity. So he has finished him, and the message is loud and clear. You go against me, you're finished. You won't come back. And for a long time, I've been thinking that this guy will end up selling seats, electoral seats, because he has IBC. Those who are waiting for IBC to be reconstituted, it's the commissioners who are being reconstituted. The people who do the actual work are not going to be reconstituted. So the rigging will go on as usual, as per usual. So you'll be buying your seat. That's what will be happening. And if you are defiant, like Akina wa Mushomba, We will just set up someone else to come, and even if you are popular, they rig you out.
Allah, we. Kwani
Because he wants to have
what? We Malia bwana. Hebu kuja tena, kuja. What are those? Malia, refresh your Wi-Fi and call your service provider. Mwambie anaharibu network. Oh my goodness. Eve. Malia Burudi kama umetaweza network. I'm gonna give you a minute before I go to Eve. Eve, hold on. Tupatie Malia chance ya kurecycle. Recyclation. Ladies and gentlemen, naona Africana kwa hapa hivi, big up to you Africana Mositano, Taraji Brown. Anasema, Taraji ananiambia eti eti Pipita, why hasn't the media, as they always rush to do, found the late brothers of family? Exactly. It is fair to say that the late kids are educated and okay. Remember, they found Kibaki's siblings. Walipata yule mtoto Mluya mwenye anafanana Kibaki. Imagine, enyewe nimerealize ukifanana mtu kawe ni maskini, it's a curse. Ona kama yule Justin Derulo fake guy. That theory of DP being the only witness was also a chess move, hence the silence of the family. Let's wait and see. Yeah, but I didn't think it was a reason for him to drag his family. And I like the fact that he did not put his sons on the stand, because that is exactly where lawyers want you, in a cross-examination kind of situation that is not a court, so there is no objection. So they can take you to the world's ends. And I really like the fact that the Brigade didn't do it. But yes, Eve, habari yako, tumepatikana.
Kupatikana naye leo tumepatikana.
Yaani unajua mimi siku hata nimempanguza mate ya kulala kabla nisikie wameingia kura.
Sasa leo unataka nikujoin ama unataka nijoin DK's team? Which one?
Wewe amua kwenye huko.
You know how DK is so eloquent when he's speaking about his mind. So I already decided that whatever he was saying was 100% true. We need to think of that possibility of building a our national assembly according to the current ideas that are currently affecting us, more than taking people who think like us in essence to the National Assembly. There's supposed to be competition. Yes, I get the power of competition, but we cannot just say, this person is it for us. No. At the end of the day, we also have to do our due diligence of unveiling. Mtu hawezi tukakuwa mzuri, unaona. Like I had one person in this space said it. We might think that these MPs on the national floor are just following people's or the ideology of the party leader peke yake. But unaweza pata uko nyumbani, they are giving out bursaries, they are working for their own people. Unaona, hapa kwa National Assembly is where they get to be seen differently. But uko nyumbani, where it matters, they work for them people. So if it's 54 and yet we can bring them to our table and hash out stuff according to how we feel the country should be run, then it's a possible conversation, because it doesn't matter. The National Assembly, I think, is where the meat of everything happens. One person, you cannot say that the president is the one going to run this company, to run the government. Yes, but at the end of the day, we don't have a working National Assembly, because that is the body of everything. From the civil education that we've gone through all these months, our National Assembly is where the power is. The president cannot act without the power of National Assembly. So if that's why he has them in their back pocket, because he knows very well power yenye anaweza kakuwa tunayo hapa hivi. If he wants to look good internationally, he has to have power from the National Assembly. If the National Assembly is there, then that's fine. But we need to think about how strategically we are going to flip this National Assembly to work for us as the people of Kenya and not the president. The president might actually have his ideas on where to put the country forward, but it has to be in line with what the people really want, what's best for us at the current state that we are in. No. Do we need these PPP deals? Do we need, because at the end of the day, yes, it's private partnership programs, but is it ati ni sisi ndo tutalipa ama are we overpaying for something that is that can be done by Kenyans? And why is it that we need private partnership yet we have bases, knowledges? We can't uplift our own people to do this work. No, we can't keep our money here. We have to shift our monies all the way to other companies outside our country, yet we can't circulate that money here. Because currently, there's no money circulation, yet we want to do a Dani, we want to do what, we want to do these things. We want to pay other countries more money just because they can bring expertise to our country. Why is that? So DK, I'm on your team today. It's a good topic. I think we really need to think about that. We really need to sit down and deal with this lot of the National Assembly one by one. Their faults, their pros and cons, and probability of them being re-elected in 2027, because it's not a far-fetched thing. Unaweza pata they're really working for their own people huko kwa hizo constituencies, but us on the National Assembly we are nitpicking on the bad vibes that they give when they are on the national floor. So it's a possibility I think we need to look at, and we cannot always vilify someone just because of what they say on the National Assembly. Maybe huko nje kwa constituencies zao they are really talking sense and really helping their people. So that's my take.
Thank you for that. DK, I would like you to bring in Babu Soni after huyu Anthony ameongea. Babu, then after Babu Anthony ataingia. Babu.
Yes, Peter.
Jambo.
Jambo. I hope.
Oh, I can't hear him. So when he's done, Pipi, you just let me know.
Sawa. Babu vipi?
Fiti sana brother. I hope kila mtu pia yuko salama hapa.
Mimi niko fresh.
Yeah, na kufuatilia mjadala hapa. Ninasikia maoni tofauti ya watu kuhusu kile ambacho kinaendelea hapa. Mimi ni mmoja kati ya watu ambaye nilipigia kura Ruto, and back 2022 ilikuwa kabisa naweza convince rafiki zangu, familia yangu tumpigie kura, but sasa hivi I'm feeling so disappointed. Naona ni kama nilisaliti taifa langu. You know, kuna time Uhuru alisema kuna viongozi wanajua ku identify problems but hawawezi solve, and na alisema, you know, kama msiponisikiliza mtajionea, na ni kweli tunajionea na tunazidi kujionea. Mimi nikiangalia vile ana move na vile anafanya mambo yake sasa hivi, tutakubaliana sote Kenya, yani tunakuja kwenye ile time ya mtu ambaye yuko kwenye serikali ni mtu ambaye anafaa kuogopwa. Yeah? Mtu ambaye anaweza fanya chochote na huwezi mfanya chochote. Yani ndo tunaelekea huko na tumeshafika hapo. Hawa MP zetu, ma MPs, tulijaribu kuwapa warning wakati wa finance bill, lakini bado yani kama kutoka hii issue ya Gachagua tena ni kama bado wamerudi pale na wametutukana kwamba hamkufanya chochote na sisi tutaserve tu master ambaye sisi tunamjua ni Ruto, sio nyinyi wananchi. Kwamba chesa family ya brother yake na vitu kama hivyo. Kitu kama hicho kitu kama hicho sidhani kama kuna binadamu yoyote ama Mkenya yoyote kama ni kweli angeweza kuwa kwenye side ya Gachagua. Lakini tukiangalia vile anapelekwa, ile move inachezwa na jamaa, sio lazima tuwe kwenye side ya Gachagua, lakini iko wazi kabisa kwamba hawa watu si watu ambao wako kwenye side yetu, si watu ambaye wanaweza fikiria maslahi ya mwananchi wa kawaida. Watafanya kile ambacho wao wanaona kiko sawa, watafanya kile ambacho wao wanataka kifanyike. Leo kwenye gazeti tumeona Adan anaenda kusecure loan na title deed ya JKA, yani hiyo sio big deal kwao. Big deal ilikuwa tumtoe huyu jamaa anatupigia kelele. Tunataka mtu ambaye atakuwa calm na tutafanya mambo yetu bila kelele. Wakati wa campaign, wakati wa kuchagua DP, tulikuwa tunaambiwa kwa watu ambao walikuwa kwenye hiyo meeting walikuwa nasema Kindiki. Lakini kwa sababu hiyo time yeye Ruto alikuwa anaona anataka fimbo ya kuchapa Uhuru na kuwa mtu ambaye atakuwa anachapa Uhuru na atakuwa anaweza kuwa watu kumsikiliza, watu kumpatia masikio. Akasema namtaka huyu Gachagua, akampatia na akatuaminisha huyu ni rafiki yake, huyu ni mtu ambaye watafanya maendeleo hapa Kenya pamoja. Lakini all of a sudden amekuwa adui, yani vile amemgeuka, vile ameflip, yani hataki hata kumwangalia. Yani hata kama kufa, yani jana wakati anaambiwa tu yuko hospitali, yani hata kama kufa wewe nenda ufe. Nenda kabisa, nenda kufa. Sisi hatujali. Sisi tutafanya mambo yetu. Sasa hiyo roho ukiangalia sio kitu ambacho anafanyia watu ambao wamefanyia wale watu ambao wako kwenye corruption, watu ambao Wakenya wanajua kuna shida. Huyu mtu anafanyia tu, tumeanza kuambiwa mambo yake hapa. As much as tulikuwa tunajua okay wote ninyi ni wamoja, lakini hauwezi kutuambia kwamba yani mimi niko so disappointed kwa sababu nilienda nikapiga kura na nilimpigia kura na nilikuwa nimeona huyu mtu anaweza kuja na new way of leadership Kenya. Lakini yale ambayo Uhuru alisema kwamba kuna watu wanajua ku-identify, na alikuwa anamongelea yeye, kuna watu wanajua ku-identify problems, lakini hawezi solve. Kwa sababu akiona problems anaona hapo ndio opportunity ya yeye kufanya mambo yake. Na tukiangalia Senate, tukiangalia parliament, guys, sijui tutachange aje. Sijui tutachange aje. Kwa sababu hata hiyo IBC vile speaker alivyopita amesema yeye ndo atachagua na si wataenda vetting pale parliament, na si ndo wao watavet watu ambao wanawataka, na si ndo watakuwa wana control wao. Sijui tutafanyaje. Labda tuje tupate moment kama tulivyopata ule wakati wa finance bill wa kuonyesha nguvu wa kuonyesha nguvu ambayo tulikuwa nayo hiyo time, maybe tunaweza kuwa na power ya kuja kuchagua kitu ambacho hata wakija kufikiria kuchange watafikiria mara mbili, lakini otherwise man, we are fucked up. Nishamaliza Pipita.
All right, thank you so much kwa hilo bwana Babu. Antonio.
Vipi
Poa sana.
DK, my fellow workmate.
Na nyinyi ndio mnalipa. Hebu niulize, standard wanga mnalipwanga hapa space ama wanga mnapeana report end month? Nataka nijue cause hiki tu bana inanikula, nafanyanga show 25 na silipwangi. So inaweza kuwa poa nikijua payment plan yenu in case nipate ka job.
Tutakushukuru. You know, Vipi, Kenya iko place iko cause Vipi Victor, by the time Ruto alikuwa na kuorezo, alikuwa ameshowasi, tulikuwa tumebeba anasemanga speech bila kusoma. But people forget, for Ruto to get where he is, the first thing he did, he built a constituency called Rift Valley, and he built it close to 15 years. Alikuwa anaenda kitoa Moi akireplace na watu wake. That's how akina Cheriot, Murkomen, Sudi came in. Because the angel alikuwa anawaendea, anakuendea na kumik MP, anakuendea na kumik senator, anakuendea na kumik governor. So by the time he was merging, URP was merging with TNA, Ruto was simply merging his constituency, which was Rift Valley, and a great part of Northeastern that was delivered to him by Duale. So Duale na Ruto hata waikosana. In fact, Duale alisema alikosana na Uhuru, Uhuru alikosana na Ruto. Hao na wasemetoana mbali sana. So Duale brought in Northeastern, Ruto consolidated Rift Valley. And I mark his words because Ruto told the former status comptroller, I'm forgetting his name, I'll reduce you to a milk farmer. And he did exactly that. Okay? Now look at Raila Odinga. He took over a constituency from his father and he has built it from Nyanza to a very good chunk of Western province. That is why Western, even if Akina Oparanya and Akina Mudavadi try and Weta, it never really votes as a block. Why? Because Raila still controls a big chunk of Western province. Also, ameza kuongeza coast, but hapo wanagawanya Kidaro na Joho. Like Raila knows how to measure his opponents. Now, if you look at Mudavadi, Wetangula, Raila, and Ruto, what is common? Both of them have been in politics from 1992. So Rigathi was always the outsider. Even Uhuru was an insider. So when Rigathi came into politics, he came in purely because of wakiangalia, they needed his money and his ability to mobilize, but they always knew they'll kick him out. Kicking Rigathi out was always there. Let's not fool ourselves, Rigathi is not polished. Rigathi has been in the corridors of power from Moi's time as a PC, DO, PC. So, akona kaweledi wewe, kuna kitu kidogo anajua. Hiyo ndio kitu Ruto hakuona. That Rigathi knows how to pick intelligence because kitambo DOs and PCs, that was their work. Pick intelligence for the president. So Rigathi alikuwa na network yote ya Mount Kenya. Okay? So when they wanted to do away with Rigathi, they were looking at, we are lawyers, we've been in politics, Sudi walikuwa, sisi tunajua, sisi ni ma-engineer. But Rigathi was very good at playing the fool. They forgot that Rigathi, he kept on repeating, si mimi si mjinga venye naka. So he acknowledges he looks stupid. Then he kept on repeating, mimi ni mwalimu wa drama. I'm a very good actor. I don't know whether DK mnakumbuka repeat hiyo kitu. Like alikuwa na wagei hints. Najua Kenya mnapanga, but I'm just quiet. So being a provincial administrator, that intelligence network never dies. Ni kama kwa CIA. You always have yourselves. So as Ruto was plotting to oust Rigathi knew the ouster was coming. That's the reason why Rigathi anaweza kusikana na Kindiki, because he knew his replacement is Kindiki. Okay? Now, how has Rigathi outsmarted Ruto? And as much as people will not accept this, Rigathi could be the arrow that actually finishes Ruto. How has he done it? He waited for Ruto to play all his cards in this impeachment process. He was patient. He acted the part for him. You know, wasi wanauliza kwa nini hakuallow watu wake wakuje, they are grossly mentioned. He knew, I don't need you to have more than one witness. I only need to be there. I need to be the star of the show. Okay? Why? Because yeye anajua kujicontain. Hapo anataka kuweka watu wake through your pressure. So akagojea Ruto and he acted it out for him. Put up 26 cases. Alikuwa anajua court has stop the process because court ilikuwa ishaji pronounce that all arms will be left to exercise their process duly. So he played panicking, putting up flimsy cases. He played the part and he picked the perfect lawyer, Paul Moite. Paul Moite has been fighting Moi for the longest time. Moite knows these games. Okay? So when Ruto had played his last card, and this is where Ruto fell for it, and all lawyers, senior lawyers were wakasema, Ruto, you've fallen for it. When lawyers were Rigathi while walk out of the Senate, they created a window that you've condemned a man without fair hearing. Now, what has Rigathi triggered here? One, jurisprudence kicks in. So, like I told Akina DK in the morning, we expected that stay to be put in at noon. But what has he done? Now, Ruto really minds how he's perceived internationally. Okay? So, and the judiciary is highly regarded in Kenya, especially by the Westerns. Meg Whitman on himself carry judiciary ya Kenya juu sana. So, Ruto right now cannot act against that. Why? Because he will lose credibility. Atakuwa naambiwa, how do we recognize you? How do we recognize you yet? How respect court orders. So I don't think Kindiki will be sworn in because Kindiki already will start wanting to act like a vice president. So he'll advise the president, it is not, calculatively, it is wrong for you to swear me in because it will be a protracted fight. For you, it will be, Rigathi will always have that I was impeached illegally. So ata tumtoe, at some point tukitoka power, he'll come and claim his dues from government. And that will be one big paycheck, okay? Now, Rigathi has the finances, and he has been able to do what Raila Odinga has been doing for the past 2 decades, build a constituency. Rigathi has built a constituency called Mount Kenya in less than 2 years. Sayugi kuta Mount Kenya, he's the king. Amejenga in less than 2 years. What took Kibaki from 1992 to 2002 to do? It took Uhuru from 1992 years as a nominated, all the way to when he was elected, to have that mountain consolidate around him. Rigathi has done it in 2 years. He's no fool. So Ruto has already seen that working with Rigathi in the future will be difficult. So Rigathi has pushed Ruto to a place whereby, now with the court injunction, hapa sasa tunacheza stays na postponements. And Rigathi has the money to do it up to 2027. Now, where does this favor the movement? Is that now Rigathi naenda kulani?
And so sorry to cut you short. Nakupea 1 minute, alafu usiende mbali.
1 minute. Sahi ni 53, kwa hivyo natoka na 54. So, Rigathi sahi, for this movement, Rigathi is your spear. Why? Because Rigathi attenda on Ruto full ballistics. Rigathi will fight Ruto on Andani. Rigathi will fight Ruto on Shaf. Rigathi will fight Ruto on anything to make sure Ruto fails. When Ruto fails, Rigathi will take over power from him. Or he'll be the next kingmaker.
Interesting. Andro, kama utaweza kaa karibu ukiweza nitakuuliza swali somewhere down tukiendelea kidogo, but as we do let me talk to Sonny. Good evening, Sonny. How are you? Sonny, I hope I am getting your... Yes, Pauline.
Sonny,
Sonny.
are you there? Ni kama Sonny hayuko. Move on to...
Haya, wacha tuongee na before niende Daniel, wacha niende kwa PK kwanza. PK.
Yeah, unanisikia? Unanisikia?
Yes, nakupata PK. I think DK itabidi rotate. Rotate DK.
Yeah.
Talk to me, PK.
Yeah, Pipi, mimi sijashangazwa kamwe. I'm really not astonished by what is happening in all these circles of politics. But there is one thing that sijasikia watu wakiongea kuhusu hii impeachment. This country is so crooked and it needs everybody to work their butts to turn things around, to be a country where everyone is account. Ama anasikiza kama yeye ni anasikia yeye ni mwananchi. Hebu sijasikia mtu akisema mambo ya James Orengo. Amekuwa hired na parliament. Na James Orengo is a governor of Siaya. Has been hired to represent the parliament. And yet this guy is using taxpayers' resources to do a business with the government. I mean, I do not understand which country we are in. I mean, I don't understand this country where individuals pull double strings on the same source and nobody sees a fault or a problem. I mean, does it mean there is no any other lawyer that Parliament could have hired who is not being funded, who is not enjoying taxpayers' money? I mean, I try to fathom, I can't get an answer. I've not heard anybody, and I want people to be interactive on this kind of behaviors and subjects, because once you guys you take the power, you get a chance to govern as a young people. These are the ills and the wrongs that need to be corrected. They probably seem very little, but I'm telling you, they got a very huge impact on the livelihoods, on the way people perceive things, on each and everything that is being done in that country in terms of governance. Yani mtu amelan governor na pia anasiki job kwa the same government on other ways where kila mtu, watu huku nje wanaimba hakuna kazi. I mean, I cannot understand. I mean, these double standards, they are really killing. They are really paying. I do not understand them as a Kenyan. Lakini anyhow, mimi ni mtu ambaye hakusupport hii government ya Kenya kuisha. I never, and I want people to understand me, because mimi ni mtu wa mlima. Definitely mimi ni mtu wa mlima. I do not like Gachagua himself. I do not like Ruto himself. These are Kanu critics. I do not like them. Trace their genesis of politics. You will see the good, bad, and the ugly. And that's what many people are not able to see about these people. They are not able to bring their past records when they are looking at them in politics or as a politician. Before election, mimi nilitembea Gatundu, nikatembea kule Kigumo, nikajaribu kushawishi several groups, nikaongea na wao, nikawaambia, I know you guys, you have injected with this yellow color, na mumelewa, na nikawaambia, guys, mutapotea barabara na mtakuja kulia. Nikawaambia, nikajaribu Katundu, nikakuwa na mkutano, nikawaambia, mimi sina mapenzi yoyote kwa kuingia kwenye siasa, lakini vile mimi ninaona kulingana vile nilikuwa na mpima Ruto, kutoka 80s, 90s, his behavior, I can be able to tell what his future holds. Right? I can be able to measure Gachagua right from wakati alikuwa DO mpaka wakati mnasema sasa amechukua constituency ya Murima. I can be
1
able to
minute
tell
to
what kind
land.
of a person he is. Yeah? Lakini mimi nikajaribu kuambia, they never listened to me. It was really, really hostile to try to convince them. They can vote for Raila even if he's not the best, but we can have a chance to fix some stuff that were aiding the country. They never listened. I'm telling you, today I even talk to those people and tell them, can you see, guys, what I was telling you? This mess, this stuff we have been taken through, kama wananchi, sahi hata wao wameshika vichwa. Wanaria. Ninawaambia, you don't have anywhere to run to. You have to go through it. But is your gava mi nilikuwa na support at all. Na hata siwezi nikasupport. Hata wakileta hiyo Githuria Dore, I do not care about him. He's a professor by his own. But me, I know him as a killer. Ameua very young people. He's the guy who gave the order, shoot to kill. I don't understand. Even the people can talk good about him. The guy who has got brand on his hand, and it's not even 6 months ago. I mean, I really do hate these people with a passion. I do not like this government. I do not want to listen to them. I don't even listen to their politics. They are in power anyway. I don't do anything. But as a citizen.
All right, let's land. PK, let's land.
Kabisa nitalanda hapa in a minute. Ninasikia mimi nimechinjwa mpaka shingo. Hapa hakuna mahali tunaenda wananchi. And I'm telling you, young people, please, I will tell you, like the way I told those constituents and group I was meeting, there is no future in this government. There is not good in any of these people. Please do your own work. Plan yourself the way you can remove the entire government from power. And unless you do that, hata mukienda kama munawa support, there is nothing good coming out of this. And people will remember this word I'm speaking in 2027. Thank you, Pipita, for the chance.
Asante pia PK for talking to us. 2 minutes past 6 p.m. Kabla niendelee kuongea na Daniel na Anthony. Pipi, kama uko hapo sinipe jingle. Leo siko studio.
Haya, ndo mimi niko hapo.
You are listening to Home Run with Pipi. Weekdays from 4 p.m. to
Friday kidogo ushatoka kwa
And of
nyumba.
course, nimeondoka kidogo. Kama unatusikiza and you just joined us, thank you very much. Today is a Friday and we've come to realize that our Fridays, I've heard people say this before, jokingly, our Fridays have become town hall Fridays. We find ourselves more often than not pulled towards sort of summarizing what kind of a week we've had. Every other week in this country has, especially over the last couple of weeks, has had very eventful items going on throughout the week. And so today we are just catching up on the same conversations, just looking at the week as it has been. I have raised something that we'll be talking about and we've talked about. But before niendelee na hiyo and share something, wacha kwanza nisikie kutoka kwa Daniel. Nafikiri Pipi leo labda nitakuwa na junction nikiendelea kidogo. Daniel, good evening.
Yeah, evening. So. Good. Actually, I'm actually glad Anthony was talking and he kind of like spoke some of the things that were in my mind. But and then the first thing is that I don't know whether I usually say the game the government is playing is a chess game. If you take it too personally, you're going to lose sight of the ball. It's if you look at it as if it's a game of moving parts, You won't get emotional when somebody does something or the other person does the other thing. I know it's hard. It's hard because we're human and you're attached to it. But if you take a minute and you move back and you look at it in a dispassionate way, that okay, that person moved that piece. What piece can I move? What Ruto has pretty much given us, because he couldn't help it, because he had to make a move. He could not help it because number one, what Ruto did was not for clearing government, consolidate. No, he was doing something in response to what we are doing without telling us. What Ruto needed was a country polarized by tribe. Right now, go to every single timeline, you will see it's all about tribe. They needed that. That is why everybody rallied behind it. It is for the good of everyone that everyone be tribal. When I say everyone, I mean the government, guys. It is good for the politicians that we are tribal. It is good for the governors that we are tribal. It is good for the president that we are tribal. Because if everything continued going tribalist, leaderless, in fact, I even dare say the thing that pissed off Ruto the most is that the leaderless, tribalist thing came from his own deputy, because we did not have it. He literally handed it to us. Everyone was like, ah, yeah, we can use this. I think that thing pissed him the most. I think the reason they hate him so much might be because of that. Because he literally showed you guys you can actually be one thing without us, which is what they're scared of. Because there's nothing these politicians are scared of more than Wakikuyu realize we actually don't care that this is in Wakikuyu. And the other thing is, Ruto has handed us a chess piece that we can use incredibly well, which is Gachagua. Because Gachagua is going to do two things. Number one, he's going to consolidate his mountain very, very well, very effectively and very, very quickly. And number two, this whole Gen Zote movement has just been given an entire tribe, the biggest.
Huyu ameamua hivyo. Daniel,
Daniel umemute.
umeamua hivyo.
Yani hivyo ndivyo umetuamulia tu yani. Okay. Haya.
Pole. I don't know what I touched my keyboard. Pole. I touched my keyboard hapo hivi hapo ikamute. Anyway, nikaendelea kuongea tu sikumwona. Anyway, I was saying the entire movement as we are right now, we have been handed a massive chess piece, which is pretty much whatever this Gen Z thing, we've just been handed the entire Mount Kenya region. Now, if someone is going to say, we need to use it, because it's literally like right now, the Mount Kenya region is looking for somewhere to punish Ruto. And if you can capitalize on that, whether people are going to say you're being tribal, no, it's a chess piece. And if there's one thing Mount Kenya knows, it is how to vote to punish someone. And right now, they are pissed. And we can use that incredibly well. No, for two things. Number one, Mkita Mandamano, I guarantee you Mount Kenya dudes will be in that city like nobody's business. Like right now, if guys are like Ruto must go, trust me, Mount Kenya dudes will be in Nairobi very, very fast. And those are the things that have been handed to us. And number two, already knows not have these guys' votes. It relies on Western and Uko kwa Raila and Coast. Now, if the entire movement was to focus on those places, these guys who keep saying sijui civic education, wachana na sijui Kajiado, wachana na Mount Kenya, wachana na sijui Kisii, go to those places, because that's where Ruto is at. That's where his power is. If I was to suggest, those are the places that the entire movement should focus on. If it's civic education that they see guys doing all over the place, that's where they should go, because these are the places they are easy to get. And number three, we should all just rally behind, almost like a father, be like, hey Buddha, situambie ni aje umse unamwona. Like, I think we should rally behind Gachagua really, really fast, because that guy is pissed and he can help a lot. I'm done.
Wewe unataka kutandikwa viboko wewe.
Nimejua tu pipi atasema hivyo.
Wacha nikupige tatu. Toka hapa, enda.
Tunapigia nini sasa?
I honestly saw that coming. I sincerely, if I Daniel, nimefungua mic haraka ati nijaribu nikusave because I saw that one coming. Whew. My goodness.
We should have a father like Rigathi. Are you mad? Hebu enda huko akwe baba yako.
Whew. Haya. You even throw for sure. All right, ladies and gentlemen, we're still having a very, very, very open conversation. You know, the week that was throwing around a couple of ideas here and there. And I see you, Jemo, and I'm going to come to you. I've had Anthony on a hold for a minute. Anto, I'm sure you had the question that I was asking before, right? With regards to the National Assembly and taking that to weaken the presidency?
No, repeat it, please.
Okay. Earlier, I had texted something to PP, and I'm going to read that question, and then I'm going to add a small addition to it just at the end. My question to him was, would a National Assembly that comprises of representatives speaking the people's language, and when I say the people's language is, you know, the change that we are currently trying to fight to see, would a National Assembly comprised of representatives speaking the people's language manage to stand against Ruto if he successfully makes to retain the seat in 2027? And as you answer me that, Anthony, I'll add, because politics also is definitely a game of numbers, if you think it is possible, how do you think us as the young people and the people speaking for change could be able to muscle numbers, especially even in areas where we know they remain to be strongholds for the man himself, in as far as National Assembly is concerned? I hope I'm clear.
Yeah, wonderful question. One thing you need to realize, politics is about alliances. Worldwide, it's about alliances. And politics is very simple. It's divided rule. You can never lead people as a block. You need to divide them, okay? And now we have to look at the science of politics. You know, kunai politics tuko nayo theoretical, but there's the way politics is done. And I'll give you a nutshell. When the Europeans came here, they divided us in tribes. But when you go to them, they don't have tribes, they have races. So anytime they explain them, say, well, US tribes, and as what you're calling tribes is what they call racism. Okay? But how do we get to that situation you are saying where we have a parliament that works for the people? One, we need first of all to identify and quantify our numbers. And we break them down in terms of regions and gender. Okay, so that we're able to say this coalition or this movement is 7 million strong. This is how it's divided in Central, Nairobi, Western, Marsabit, Mombasa. So this is our strongholds. Because ukienda kwa mseko Ruto, mnaweza kuja msema mko movement, but I'm the Rift Valley, I'm the guy. Okay? So now how do we get to that parliament? We must identify a political party. Na tusijidanganye tutaenduko kama independents. If you go there as independent, Ruto still end up being president. Why? Because even if you choose an independent president, Ruto will be on the opposition with a solid opposition. Okay? Meaning he'll be voting as a unified force. So he can poach into your independent candidate, but it will be very difficult for you to poach from his coalition. Okay? So story independence, you're a candle. So identify a political party or form one if you can go past the arguments or where we shall be on Jamhuri Day, is it Narok or Uhuru Park. Mkipita your ladder, so that now you start talking about policies, you know, mko na policy document, an agenda, a philosophy, okay, an ideology, something you stand for. Then form a political party or identify one and join it. Once you do that, now you go and negotiate in terms of your regional balancing. As a movement, wengi wetu tuko hapa. So hizi ndio vitu tunataka. As you negotiate, you know that there's a constitutional time limit. So kwa hiyo chama mtakuwa mnajua, kama ni chama yenu, itawa take 2 elections to get to absolute power. Kama mko kwa chama ya msee, mtakuwa mnasema after 2 terms, We shall have done away with this guy who gave us this political party. Now we shall own the political party. And now after that, now is when now change becomes a very gradual process. Okay? So to have that parliament that works for you, identify a political party or build one, and it needs to be broad-based, and it cannot be built by two age demographic and Gen Zs and millennials. It must be all-inclusive. For me, the easiest way is identify a political party, populate that political party with the intention of taking it over fully after 2 elections. Okay? Because whoever at our political party atataka kuorezo. So it's a give and take. You negotiate for power. He'll give you the access to power. He'll give you access to parliament. Let him govern, and he can appoint one of you as his deputy, then face him out and take over the party and run with it.
You guys need to know I had not had this conversation with Anthony before. We've not spoken about this, but the first day that I got this idea in my head was about a week ago, 2 weeks ago, and I was having a physical one-on-one with one of the people who largely hosts the spaces that we all go to. And he's the one who was floating this to me. And he said it before. I've heard him say it before in other spaces. And like many others, I've really shut him down when he's spoken about Ruto haendi mahali, Ruto bado utakuwa hapa 2027. I would be like, shut the hell up. And when we were seated with him, he talked a lot about the same thing. And then he started pointing around this whole idea and the concept about National Assembly. And then I carried that with me. And I've been thinking about it for the whole week. And for some funny reason, though I haven't mentioned it, one of the things that came to me is what you just said, Anthony, which is the ability to see whether it is us forming our own political party or identifying one, because that's yet another conversation by itself. But the truth is, to some degree, to some degree, we certainly do need change. But the change might take just a bit longer than we actually theoretically think that we can be able to do it. And it may need a certain gradual, clear plan of how can we get there. And so maybe, just maybe, starting from that place of a political party that formulates a proper standing National Assembly, because if we don't do that, like Anthony said, whether it be Ruto or be Raila, somebody is going to have a certain opposition on this side that can easily sway off, especially if we are an independent cluster. And then from there, use that system that we've walked in and build a National Assembly that speaks for us, and build that to now be able to move the change even higher, that it has moved from the legislature, now we're in the executive. Because what we are having now is an executive that is insulting all the other arms. New Horizon. Habari ya leo?
Mzuri sana. Nitaongea na Kiswahili. I'm not in Kenya.
Haina shida.
Na nastaki watu wanielewe, niko kwa ofisi. Me, what I think ni kwamba we need to have kitu short term, medium and long term. And let's not have any emotions sahi. Whatever has happened has happened. We know sheria haifuatwi. But we need to identify nini inafanya Ruto akue strong sana. And kwangu ni parliament. Short term, we should focus kwa parliament to make sure hao watu hawana amani kabisa. Because the moment tunaanza kuwa target individually, especially when you wanaongea especially if we said something that hawakutu represent, I feel inatakikana tuende individually. Kama, for example, I'm just giving an example. Kama huyo senator wa Nakuru, just for example, we know what the people said. It might not really what we wanted, but we want how watu wa represent us, not represent themselves. So for me, I feel tuanze na short term to weaken parliament kwanza. Then at the same time, me siyo Gen Z, me ni Gen X, have been supporting hii movement. Tuachane na, so you take everyone mwenye unajua tu ako against Ruto. Everyone. But it doesn't mean to represent in parliament or in the or to form a government. We just want to steer away, to make sure that hao watu wamechanganyikiwa. You know, huwezi ukapigana na mtu kama Ruto ukitumia through the right route. Inatakikana utumie all the manner of, I would say, be a bandit. Huwezi ukashidana na huyu mtu ukisema sijui tutaenda kotini, sijui tutaenda nini. Two, we have also to employ good people wenye wako na propaganda. Politics, hii ni politics. Tukikaa tu tukisema ideology, saa hii ni kwanza mnatoa mtu anatoka, then mnarudi mnajiuliza what next. So for me ni short term tufuate how MPs wote. How wote na tuna make sure tunawadi platform. Second, we weaken the church. If we are able to weaken the church and parliament and make sure that we gather all the enemies together, we put the enemy of Ruto, sisi tukue tu tuko katikati, we are able to kucheza nao, tutakuwa mbali sana. So, but for long term, mi yenye naona ni kwamba as much as possible tukue na so many members of parliament, many, and we make sure ni sisi tumewa sponsor. At the same time, at the moment, if we could have also threads in parliament so that they can also repeal your lawyer ya ku recall MPs, I think this is also the right time. Tukue na friends wenye, they can also help us to repeal your act, such that watu wenye tuta empower. Let's start preaching hakuna ati kulipwa ndio vote. Let's build, let's finance our watu wetu wenye tutachagua MPs, but with a very clear role. We can recall them, so they are our property, wakue our properties. So for me, that is the long term. If we manage to have more than 2/3 wenye tukiwaambia tunataka muende museme no, watasema no. If they don't say no, we recall them. We'll be able to impeach Ruto at the second term. For now, let's not work at tutamtoa sahi. Let's work to have a very strong parliament yenye tutakuwa nayo control. But let's start from now. From now, to make sure that we weaken parliament. We make sure that they have no say. Wakaange tu uko kwa parliament, wakitoka kwa raia, we make sure we depart from them. We make sure that also we start building a network ya kuwafuruga, so that there is no time watakuwa na hiyo power. Two, let's also start making sure CDF, because how watu wa CDF, can we start targeting them with the corruption yenye wanafanya kwa CDF, yenye we make sure we poison watu wenye wako constituency, so that hata wakikuja hapo wanajulikana ni wezi. So hiyo ndio nasema, as long as we are not able to weaken parliament, Ruto atakuwa tu saa zote anatuweza. Tutumie CDF to make sure that we create that enmity. Another thing, in chief ni hanging fruit.
Let's land in 1 minute.
Yes, for me, let's also use chief as a hanging fruit, because everyone is affected. So even if we go around poisoning people about how that's why I said propaganda, but using the facts. Vile kitu ilikuja kuua watu, now people are suffering. I feel those are the hanging fruits, because they affect everyone. Hata kama hauelewi ama unaelewa, hospitali is also something. So thank you so much. Thank you for giving me this opportunity.
Thank you very much. Propaganda is one of those things that has been used in different ways as far as communication skills in a political sense is concerned. Sitaingia hapo hivyo kwanza saa hizi, maybe I'll say something about it later. But if you're listening to us, if you just joined us, karibuni sana. We are having a town hall conversation this Friday. And of course, if you love the job that we do here, we always remind you that we appreciate each one of you, your support both by listening. Nashukuru kila mtu mwenye koko chini, akina James, akina Phyllis, akina Bobby, Kathy Lee, Lodi, I see Patrick, Estonia, Michael, Shiko, asanteni sana for listening. And if you do like the job we do, tip Japale Ju, support us 0721948229. We'll always appreciate your support. Antonda kuuliza swali lingine a bit later as we go on, so before I lose you. Sony, good evening. I lost you before. I hope I can hear you now.
Turudishe kabla tulete Sony. Sony hi. Kabla tulete Sony turudishe Daniel. Tuacha tumtoe purgatory. Tulisema tuache hasira ya Gen Z sasa Sony. Yes, hi.
Poa sana.
Unaendelea aje?
I'm in town. I'm walking in town. So I was listening, but I couldn't talk. I was in a noisy place, and I think I'm still in a noisy place. But let me just talk very fast. There's a conversation I want us to have. How do we see the future? How is the future of our country? I think in medicine we would call it, what is the prognosis of the disease that we're having right now? The reason I'm saying this, it's a conversation that we need to have. And the reason I'm saying this is because, one, we don't have a parliament. Our parliament has misused the power that it has been given. And our Senate and our parliament, both of them have misused the power that we have. So, do you foresee a probability of us going to a vote in 2027? Considering there's a motion that they want to bring that extends the term of parliament for 7 years. Probably they might not even extend it for 7 years because they have so much power vested in them that they are misusing. So I think we're not going to a vote in 2027. Because what will they do when they're done with Gachagua? What will they do? They will go and bring a motion. And because we have given our parliament so much power, they will misuse it again. They will extend their term to whatever term they want. So I want us to have a conversation of where do we see ourselves, what is likely to happen. The lawyers in the house, please tell us what is likely to happen in the future. At least try to kuelewa tunaelekea wapi. It's very dangerous with the trend we're having. Our president doesn't care about us. I think he wants to take everything to himself. Look at the country right now. They are looting and not bringing money back to the common mananchi. The common mananchi doesn't have money flowing back. So, please let us have that conversation of what is the future of our country.
All right. Thank you so much, Sonny. We'll definitely do that. And it's actually a town hall. So basically, that's where we are headed. Something just hit me, guys. Anthony, I don't know if you guys know, but there's only one guy that I've ever met, Daktari wa macho, anaitwa Dr. James Agri Orengo. Huyu anaweza angalia hivi mtu aseme huyu ana ukimwi ya kianani.
This is Home Run with Pipi.
Anakuangalia hivi anasema ya vile nilikuona before lunch wewe ulikuwa uko mgonjwa.
You are listening to Home Run with Pipi. Weekdays from 4 p.m. to 9 p.m.
Na Orengo alikuwa amekaa tu kwa kona. Stress on short. Nataka kuongea na Joseph kidogo before engage Anthony in one more question. Joseph, good evening. I've been seeing your hand up.
Niko poa kabisa.
Talk to us.
Okay, kwanza mjambo wa Kenya wote, na vitu imefanyika yenyewe imetustua, hata si wenyewe tu hapa, at least ndio imetupata kwa umri mzuri yenye unaweza ona Kenya inatendeka vizuri kwa nchi, lakini inashtusha. So mi suggestion yangu vile nimeona ni rahisi vile Ruto ameamua kwamba hawezi fuata mambo ya courts, mambo ya anything. Huyo ni mtu mwenye ashaamua yeye mwenyewe, akili yangu inafanya hivi na inataka hivi. So kwa saizi tulishajiconsole, tulishajua hii ishaenda, na kwamba jamaa ameamua kuwa kiburi, na bila kusahau kwamba saizi nguvu iko kwa wananchi. So the main kitu kubwa yenye maloya wetu wanaweza tusaidia kwa sahi ni kurudi kwa the same courts, amend kwamba watafute tu hiyo clause ya election hapo panatakana paeditiwe kwamba wananchi ndio wako na nguvu ya kudetermine mambo ya chairman ya IBC. Ipelekwe kwanza kwa parliament, iletwe public participation kwanza, izungushwe nchi mzima, hiyo makaratasi yote isanywe, na mwenye atachukua sasa, huyo ndio tunaweza deserve tuseme ni mtu mwenye tumeweka hapo kama wa Kenya. Na anytime vitu kama hii inatendeka ambaye president ajimu judiciary, ni kitu tunaweza rudi kwa hiyo clause faster kama wananchi. Mtu mmoja table hiyo motion kwa parliament kwamba iko ABCD, hapo president atakuwa na ile somehow uoga ya kujua kwamba power ina belong fully kwa wananchi. Juu kwa saizi kuna mahali hiyo constitution bado inatufunga kama sisi wananchi, na hiyo ndio nashuku lupo lenye jamaa ametumia na kuforce things. Juu kama venue ishapangwa, nyinyi mnaona vitu yote, wewe hiyo inakuambia ni mtu kwamba anaweza sikiza hata court itasema nini. So juu power endi yako naye sahi, hakuna kitu kubwa tunaweza fanya, na tumetoka kwa crisis ya economy ngumu. Hata mwenyewe ni kama hana roho ya utu, because watu wametoka kwa crisis ya economy ngumu, wamekuja wameona itawashinda na finance bill, ndio wakaamua acha tumuende. So from that bado economy jarudi normal, ni ngumu sasa hata zaidi. So kutake hiyo advantage ndio ameforce in things yake, na factor kubwa yenye huyu jamaa anatuweza kwa sahi ni kununua parliament, na hiyo parliament so ikiwa compromised hivi, juu kusema ukweli kwa saizi kwa hii maumri zenye tuko, ama sielewi ni nini shida na tamaa na viongozi wetu. Mi sidhani hata kama kuna mtu mwenye alipewa kama hata kama ni pesa mingi sana ati basi 10 million. Wewe kama MP ukiangalia kiti yako ya CDF yenyewe ni almost 100 million plus. Wewe unachukua 10 million uende uvote kama puppet, yani ufanye tu vitu yenye umedirectiwa, yenye sisi wananchi hatuja kutuma. Kukimbia kufa hii nini ya Gachagua iko na emergency gani? Ni emergency gani iko naye saa hizi? Sisi ni watu wakubwa kama wa Kenya, hatuna vita yenye tuko naye. Tunajua mtu mwenye ni adui ya mtu yoyote ule kwa saa hizi ni mwanasiasa, na kama mwanasiasa sikizi Kenya mnamwambia kama wananchi na hiyo constituency, tuanzieni tu hapo. Mwanasiasa once weekend MP, saidi ya MP kwanza weekend hiyo zaidi, rudi ground, angalia miradi yote ulipewa milioni 100, ni nini umefanya? ABCD ingine iko kwa progress, imebakisha percentage gani? Kama atapatikana hiyo ka ground kidogo, kumbe imetuonyesha tunaweza muimpeach na hiyo. Na tukifika kumuimpeach, kila mtu atakuwa muoga na kila mtu atachunga ofisi yake, atachunga kazi. Sasa sisi wenyewe wananchi ndio tumelala, tumepea hii wa jamaa nafasi na wametuweza kutukanyaga. Saizi tuwezi kwa president, wacha tu tutulie tu tujifanye kwamba ni kama tumetulia juu wametuonyesha kwamba hafuati hata koti. So tumuweze kwa ballot, na before ballot ifike ni kurecall MP one by one. Heri hata tu dedicate 48 yote kama inji tunaanza kaunti ABCD, ama iko na MP wangapi hapo, wangapi walifanya ABCD. huko ndio tunaanza tunakilia, tunatik kwa diary, huyu tumeweka chini tu, huyu tumeweka chini. By the time tufike hiyo tu whatever, watakuwa wamerudisha akili na watakuwa wameamua ni kufanya kazi juu. Sai kama mnaona baba ako ndani ya serikali, Ruto ako ndani ya serikali, opposition na ruling parties, which means kila mtu ako na interest za kwake juu kila mtu ako na ideology za kwake, unless ikue sisi ndio tunabebwa mafala wanaelewana huko ndani, wamegawana vitu, watu hakuna ukabila, hakuna mtu mkabila. Kama saizi sisi wote hakuna Kenya wananchi imefanyika, inamaanisha tume improve demokrasia, lakini tusibebwe ufala ati tuonwe sisi ni wajinga. So wewe kuwa tu na ambition, Ruto tu ndakuambia kuwa na ambition ya kusema sijui 15 years sijui whatever, hiyo itakuwa tu yako juu. Tukianza na MP, adabu itarudi kwa serikali na hata wewe utarule vizuri, hakuna kusumbua. Acha na tamaa mingi na waache mbio mingi. Hiyo tu ndio mimi naweza sema. So hatuna shida mwenye ameselectiwa, siwezi sema congratulations juu bado tungali na machungu ya kutuia vijana. So mimi ndasema tu nyi mrule tu, lakini hakuna ku give up. Tupate tu kuhakikisha 2027 hao watu hakuna mwenye atarudi. Hivyo tu, hiyo tu ndio the best thing tunaweza sema kama hivi.
1 minute Joseph. Yeah, I feel like unarudia the same thing with the different statements. Asante lakini.
Asante Joseph.
Hiyo ndio tu mpango wangu.
Asante sana. Nakushukuru sana kutuongelesha. Nitaenda kwa Rasji na Frema. Anto nataka kukupatia swali fulani unijibu. Joseph, just mute your mic. Thank you. Anto, I wanted to ask you a question. If you can answer it in the shortest time possible, then I'll go to our new guys. Na leo Pipito utanipiga viboko. Leo mimi niko hapa kuuliza maswali zenye unaniambiaga tumepewa pesa. Because I feel like there are certain ideologies sometimes that are coming to us because and it's rightful for us, because we're being emotional about the whole process, which is rightful as humans, because this is really affecting our lives in very many ways and in different ways. There's in the process of it, there's some things sometimes we are not looking at because we are not feeling it, even though maybe it could have a situation in it. So, Anto, the question I wanted to ask is still in this respect of trying to see whether arresting an assembly would be an option. I've heard some people speak about finding, and you talked about coalition earlier. I've heard people talking about finding possible coalitions, especially with people in the political class, whether presently or before, who could offer what is being looked at as quote unquote either some mass some penetration, some easier penetration towards the building of the numbers in the different regions, especially like the way you were talking. So take, for example, someone who either has a political party that is existent or have a political history that gives them a leverage of a following around or a listening ear. So what's your take on that kind of a thought? I don't want to ask you whether you think it's okay or not. Let me ask
Also, DK, I wanted also to get a feel of the whole week. So I also want you to not close the space. I want it to be open as a town hall. I would also want to have as much views also of other people as well. So don't also close it as well. In as much as you just throw the question into the mix and let other people as well go on with it.
Sure thing. So maybe Antu can tell me something in a minute, and then I'll throw that question to everybody else.
I did not understand your question.
I want to know what your thought is as far as people thinking in the lines of coalitions with people with a political base already, a history of a political base, whether that is something that can help this movement in any way or not. I wanted to know what your thought is in that.
No, I got it. I'll answer it in a minute. Yes, that is the easiest way. You will need to form a coalition. Why? Because if you look at the voting pattern in Kenya, it is tribal. We can't run away from that. But DK, your question brings to light a very important thing. Now, is it time for we young people to shift from the easy conversation of this person must go and that person must come to now and start discussing policies? For instance, we need to have conversations where someone comes and tells you, this movement, this is our policy for education. That's now it becomes a constructive conversation. Meaning, when you now go to form that coalition, you will need them to align with your what you call your policy document. Okay, this is what we want to do in terms of health. This is what we want to do in terms of employment, bringing down the wage bill, increasing wage, all that. So conversation yetu inaenda ikimachua na ikikuwa poa. I believe by somewhere mid next year, people now be talking policies. What do we want to do around education? What is our policy for infrastructure? How do we reset or start paying our external debt? Now, conversation ikifika hapo, now the conversation is now it's building momentum. It is something that now we can sit even with international partners and talk about. We want to take government because this is what we want to do for the economy. This is how we plan to repay you back your money, etc. Once we get that decay, we shall still be in these spaces. But for now, you can't form a coalition. You don't even have an ideology. So you are forming a coalition with what? Ruto must go. That's not an ideology.
Okay. All right. Got you. Thank you, Anthony, and thank you for engaging me in that. All right. I'll try out some of the other new ones. Frema has been here and been dropping, which is one of the reasons it's been a bit easy. I'll try bring him back. Pipi, by there I can't be able to accept anyone, so you help me with that. Ras G, alafu Fatma na Justice for All have just come. So let me talk to Ras G and then Fatma. Laftenda kwa Justice. Ras.
Anatuongelesha na sign language.
Nimeassume ni mimi.
Okay. Rasji, unmute. Urudi tena. Hiyo tako nilikuwa refu, acha nicheze jingle wa.
This is Home Run with Pipi.
Kuna ufala lakini Pipi. Fatma, good evening. Rasji request Mike tena, we'll talk to you. Good evening, Fatma. How are you?
Good evening. How are you? Thank you for accepting my request. Kwanza ya kwamba whatever that has happened to us for the last 3 months from finance bill, recalling back and whatever happened, Kenya saizi tunaona sisi kama wananchi, we don't have a representative. The biggest problem right now we have as a country, we don't have a leader. We cannot blame the president for everything. Our main issue we have, the cancer that this country is suffering, is a member of parliament. We have clearly seen what they did with the deputy president impeachment without even thinking anything. We have so many issues, the issue of help, we have issue of NHIF. None of those things has become their priority. And remember, we voted them to represent our voice. And they changed the role from representing us to represent the president. So when we look at where we came from as a democratic country, we have come from far. Today, a sitting president being impeached and he can go home, that's something that we can say what our founding father taught us, at least we have achieved 0.001. But still remember, we have a child in Turkana who need water. And the area MP, we have never seen them spoken on issue of insecurity in Mandera County, the issue that happened in Garissa County, Turkana, and all those areas. But when we see the impeachment of the deputy president came, all of them, they voted yes. Why? Because our people are ignorant. We don't know our rights. We don't know why we elected them. We just keep quiet and wait them to finish all the process until last night, midnight. But when we see that students in the university dying, our kids who are banned in schools in Nyeri County, none of those things become a problem to our leaders. What is the solution here? We have achieved to stop the finance bill. We still have an assignment. Assignment number one, before even we reach 2027, we need to teach lessons so that any leader ambaye akikuja after 2027, he or she will not just take us for granted. We must recall back, even if it is 2 or 3 in each and every sub-county. Number two, these things that saying our brothers and sisters from the mountain side, let us not take this thing as a tribal thing. This must be something that it has to open our eyes, and we have to change ourselves. Because everything, some of us, we sit down and predicted all these things, and it's exactly what happened as Kenya ime happen in the sisi yote tumepredict. Now tomorrow, wait for our president. The president will come and say, you see, I'm a whole singeweza kuzuia, my own deputy was being impeached. I didn't had an opportunity to stop him because that is how we are a democratic country. We have institutions that independent, they can do anything, and that is the Kenya that we want. Tomorrow, the first speech that he's going to say, atasema hizo vitu zote. Lakini, our president is too smart to the extent we are very busy. This week ni deputy president inaimpichwa, next week vitu zingine anakuja, and the tactic that our president is using is a tactic of intelligence. I don't know if he was a CIA agent, and I'm sorry to say that, because everything that our president is doing is according to the plan. You cannot just wake up and bring problem, because problem is not going to solve our issue. Our kids are not going to school. Watoto wetu wasome, university help loan, hizo vitu zote hakuna. NHIF, we are shifting from where to where we don't even understand. The rate of unemployment in our country is increasing every day. We are graduating, we don't have a job. So our president, until us, the citizen, we wake up and tell them, hey, Mr. President, what you're doing, this game, we have now understood you. Why is it that impeaching the president is more important than a child who died in a school in Nyeri County? Why is it that impeaching the president, you can clearly see all the process vile wamefanya speeding, like the impeachment from the Senate, everything to now, I can clearly see they are planning for the swearing in tomorrow. If they have all this energy to do this thing, why can't they also help common mwananchi so that we can also have a developed country? At least we can build a better country. Let us not accept the division that our politicians are setting for us. There is nothing called Kikuyu versus Luo or Kalenjin versus Kikuyu. We must remove those things from our mind. This is our country. We need to lead. If we have to achieve something that will help us in our life, let us not look at what these people are creating, because already the atmosphere is too polluted. The president, he's doing his work. He knows what he's doing, because by next year, he's 3 years old.
1 minute to land. Fatma, just go on. Just land in a minute.
Okay. So what I was saying, next year tukifika now already we are heading to November. Atasema like, oh, nilikuwa na shida, I was the only president who listened to the people are my boss and all those things. Our president is extremely intelligent and he knows what he is doing. So let us not make us to look ourselves that, let us not bring emotional, whether it is Gachagua being impeached or the president is staying there. This is a game that they are playing. The game number one is, we don't have a parliament. After this impeachment, let us push the government to form IEBC. Kwa nini hawataki kuform IEBC? Because they know that we are ready for IEBC immediately if they launch like this. I myself, I mobilized the lawyers to make sure that where I came from, my rural county, at least 2 or 3 MPs must be impeached. So let us put a lot of pressure the government the president to form IEBC. Hiyo tukifanya na tukirecall back, even if it is 2-3 MPs that we recall back from all the region, let us not leave just to say that it is a Kikuyu who impeached the president. Let's remove those things. Each and every region, at least tukiweka nguvu na vile tulifanya finance bill, tukiweka a lot of effort and mobilize resources and to impeach 2 at least each and every region, 2027 we will be having a smooth leadership. But for now, we have
All
seen
right.
the problem of this country is the member of parliament, both the Senate and the MPs.
Thank you, Fatma. Thank you very much. And thank you for your submission as well. I want to try with Rasji niona ama bado tutafanya sign language. Huku ni mimi tu najua sign language. Rasji, habari yako?
Uko karibu kusema mimi natumianga science. Mnanisikia?
Nimesikia Pipita amesema unataka kutumia science na sijamfunza yeye sign language.
Sasa shida hapa kunanga zile emoji za moto, za kutuma moto, ni vile ziko kiasi sana. Anyway, there is something that Pipita wrote. I wanted to dwell on that about a very interesting thing. I'm trying to find it, Pipita, and you had brought about the developments zenye zimefanyika ni we have been thrown back to our tribe and stuff, and I want to really agree with you. Unajua kuna time sasa imefika mahali, wacha tu tuangalie siasa ya Kenya vile iko and how people acquire power and how finally the problem with our country, our tribes has vile tunatumia our ethnic and our tribes tunazitumia na zinatumiwa vibaya na wanasiasa. There is nothing bad with our tribes. The only thing, na hata saa hii tukisema tutakuwa na uchaguzi, believe me, the population bado, when people want to get power, the Luyas will sit somewhere, the Luos will sit somewhere and come together eventually with other tribes to look for that power. So wacha tu saa zingine huwa tuna demonize tribe, but inakujaga kujimanifest baadaye. The thing we are having individuals with questionable integrity characters in our office, ambao wakati wameiba na wamefanya vituko zao, they will always retreat to the tribe. And this one I'm speaking especially to my backyard, Mount Kenya. You have seen now what tribal grouping can do. William Ruto hata saa hii mahali penye amefanya, and this one I'm saying kwa sababu mimi kitu nimeiona. What William Ruto has done right now is pitting Mount Kenya region with the rest of the communities. And if my region does not, kwa sababu what he is doing right, even if Gachagua, na tumesema pale, even if he has simply used Gachagua narrative of shareholding kujaribu kuonesha these other communities ya kwamba no, Gachagua is advocating for Central and Rift Valley to share power and eat, in which William Ruto has equally done that. He has brought in Raila Odinga and some other people only for them to be the shareholders. So nothing has been corrected. What we are having are individuals in office who use power to benefit themselves, and the moment they are cornered with integrity issues, they will always retreat to the tribe to come and tell me and you we are being targeted. So however deep Gachagua has sunk, he was supposed to sink. He was supposed to sink. It had been planned that way by William Ruto. But then again, my region should retreat. Even the likes of Ichungwa, the ones that have been clapping, the ones that have been used like errand boys, let them know that their time will come when William Ruto will be done. Na atafanyia hivyo. Even to the east, the people, the leaders in the east who think that the carrot has been dangled on them with the VP position, with the deputy position, let them not say that now our son has occupied the highest office in the land. They will have an opportunity. These leaders want to celebrate people because they know what they usually do to those offices. So ni mimi na wewe tukiwa huko nyumbani, wakati tutarudi nyumbani, wacha tutafute viongozi ambao wako na maadili mema, viongozi ambao wanamaanisha kile kinatoka kwa kinywa chao and they mean it, because what we are having in this country, there are people who masquerade as angels, as people who once they occupy public office. I don't know what happens in this country. The moment somebody occupies a public office, inakuwa tu sasa ni vitu zingine. I don't know what is this that people eat in those public office that they suddenly change their character. The people who had this face of this faith like saviors wanakuja wanabadilika, and that's why you see somebody like William Ruto has rewarded Kindiki. Despite Kindiki being at the spotlight of killing so many GNZs when he was in interior, amekuwa yeye ndiye blame yote ilikuwa huko. William Ruto has not touched his tribe. Bungei is the man who killed a lot of GNZ because walikuwa wametumwa Nairobi to protect their government ya nyumbani. This one I'm saying. And all the blame was put on Kindiki. I want to remind Kindiki that when William Ruto atafeel hiyo position inataka kuwa occupied na mtu mwingine, atarudisha higher. You see the way he has brought every evil that Rigathi Gachagua committed. Let somebody like Kindiki know. Ile siku yenye ataanza question boss wake, then William Ruto will go back to the files and produce all those evidence, all those ills that zilifanyika, atamuwekelea hapo juu. So
Ni mimi ama Rasji amepotea?
Ameenda huyo, ameenda tena wapi jamani?
Ai, nimepotea.
Lakini ulikuwa umepotea kidogo. Nilikuwa about kukuambia nikupe 1 minute now.
Okay, let me learn. I want to take people because mimi leo nataka tu ni I want to point from a political lens how cunning William Ruto is. I remember William Ruto calling Mudavadi and Wetangula, wale watu wa kumbe kumbe. There is nothing that William Ruto has not called every tribe in this nation. He has called Raila Amolo Odinga several times, Muganga, and all those things. So how he comes again to dine and wine with them on this platform, yenye wako nayo sahi, it should remind you as a Kenyan, the politics of Kenya it revolves around cunning, and we are having a head of state mwenye ni mjanja sana, mwenye kila mtu anamuita smart politically, but go and think, because sasa hivi tuko injured. There is nothing wrong as sisi kurudi nyuma, retreat. Let us continue talking, but let us think of new ways of countering this guy. That's the only way out. Tusikimbie sasa na masolution zingine mingi. There is nothing wrong. We are injured. A good soldier retreats and re-strategize. So let them win right now. Na wafanye kenye watafanya, but sisi to stop. Let us not stop talking. We can go back and re-strategize. Thank you, Pipita.
Wazi Rasji, asante sana. Naona umetuelekeza dakika 3 tufikie top of the hour. I'm going to hand over the mic back to Pipi at that. And as well as I do, Pipi, to you, I'm going to drop for just a few minutes. There's an urgent call I have to make, and then I'll come back. The last thing I want to say as I hand over is it is good we have this kind of I think it's good we've sectioned this. I don't know if we're going to leave it permanently, PP, this town hall situation on Friday, because it then allows people to have an extra day to just really summarize the week and also speak a bit more deeply on some of the things that they are thinking as their thoughts on an open scale. Then secondly, as I said before, whatever things that I have spoken about personally today are my sentiments, not necessarily sentiments of Home Run with PP, but my thoughts, thinking across and around some of what I'm seeing as a possible reality in as far as the change that we really want to see on the different levels, from the executive, the legislature, and also the judiciary. And I start to feel that a sort of a plan that has been made with a short, medium, and a long-term plan will be able to help us arrest that. And my direction for a short-term plan will be the legislature in such a way that it actually does represent what we have and does not end up being assaulted or being used and being used to abuse sovereignty of what it's supposed to do at the end of the day for people. I think that's what I feel right now. And the truth of the matter is, this is not somebody, we're not dealing with somebody who has any plan in whatsoever way to let go of his power, not only during what I believe is his terms of sitting on the presidency itself, but also being in a position where he's positioning himself in a place where he's going to have the ability to control it even after that period of time. Just developing some.
DK, are you there? Kwani napoteza watu? Allah.
And can I ask, shouldn't Kindiki have resigned by now? He's supposed to be sworn in tomorrow.
Okay,
Actually,
are you there?
him being
DK, are you there?
in is illegal.
All right, I can't hear DK. Anthony, DK is talking.
No. DK said he will be dropping to do an urgent call.
Oh, all right. Okay, thank you so much for that. It gets us to exactly 7 p.m. East African time. Welcome to Home Run, people, ladies and gentlemen.
Social conversations, engaging topics on your phone anywhere. This is Home Run with Pippi.
You're listening to Home Run, people, ladies and gentlemen, comes to you each and every weekday from 4 p.m. all the way to 9 p.m. East African time. My name is MC Pepita. You can call me Pipi. And of course, this wonderful Friday, we're just here for a town hall meeting where we are listening to everybody's thoughts on the day's topic. Of course, ladies and gentlemen, I would like to just remind you that Fridays is turning out to be a town hall meeting where we keep on taking a toll of our government, which seems to be moving at a breakneck speed. Wanakimbia na speed ya helicopter hawa majamaa. So as we're getting to this 7 p.m. hour, I'm going to let more speakers talk to us, of course, and our show here is maintained by you, the listener. If you like what I'm doing, pale viju kuna jamba 0721948229. Ingia pale, you drop your support for the show as well to help keep the lights on this side. As you can see, it looks like we have to do a lot of things. We make 10,000 steps ahead for we make 1 million behind, but we keep on moving. So yes, I want to hear from Justice for all. Habari yako mzee Justice, umepotea siku nyingi.
Yeah, sorry, I probably took a short break, but I'm back. A lot going on to think about, talk about, just trying to interpret. It's just it's overwhelming, but I'm glad to hear voices of everybody and to see some familiar faces, which is good. But there are quite a number of issues that obviously we can talk about, but I'm sure some people don't want to hear about the impeachment anymore, but for me, it's probably one of, I mean, I was against it, so I just have to say it on the onset, for many reasons. Number one, because it wasn't initiated by the people that are leading the movement. So every time I hear people talk about that, tumeanzia Gachagua, now we can go to the president, I'm left wondering that, am I the only one who is looking at this differently? That this had nothing to do with us. It is actually meant necessary to try and put us in a very awkward place so that we can have a new theater of politics that is more destructive and destructive. But the second, third part is to have a killer being nominated to be the one that is going to replace the one that has been impeached. I'm using the word a killer deliberately because it's under his watch that we saw our fellow patriots and Gen Zs being slaughtered, and yet he just came out strong, killing people like flies. I think it's one thing that I can never forget. And that is why I feel that we have now continues to move from one level of destruction to the next one. Thirdly, it does then bring me to the point of my own speculation that I do not think the grounds that were advanced for the impeachment of Gachagua are the reasons. So then the question is, what is exactly the reason behind this? So this is more speculative. There must be something bigger and deeper that we don't know, but possibly only the parties involved and know. And I think it's probably a very deeper political situation that could even be financial in nature that affects you and me. What could that thing be? But then that brings me to another imagination of all this game that is being played. My imagination is the heartlessness with which they proceeded after Gachagua was hospitalized. It really brought me to understand the heart of the country. My disappointment with the senior counsel, Rengo, his utterances, and the decision that being made to rush that thing until we were in a crisis and we were, the country was going to sink without it. It just brought out the soul of the nation, which I think we have spoken quite a bit in this space about really where are we as a people, that simple, soft moral fabric of the nation and the soul of who we are as a people. That power and other imaginations can be the driving force behind some of these things. But then the greatest fear is if we move forward and the court order is defied, then where do we go from there? Then we start getting into another crisis. But another imagination of my crisis is that if, God forbid, anything happens to Ruto during this court process, then obviously constitutionally Rick G becomes the president, and then from there it's maybe appoints nominates a deputy and then gets vetted, and the whole cycle goes on and on and on. That's just stretching my imagination of what crisis we might get ourselves into. But enough of that point of Rigiji. So mine is, I feel like it's a very sad situation. I did not feel like that process. I mean, we spend hours, watching through every submission, every cross-examination and all that. And I think it was just, in my opinion, it's something that I feel there was some unfairness, especially on the process side, even though we didn't think that the motion should have been moved from the beginning. But enough of that. The other point that gets advanced immediately, I think I had 3 points, but maybe I'll probably stop at some point so that I can maybe get another chance later. But the other point I want to talk about is how to quantify public participation. I think we have one very important thing that we are calling public participation that I feel we need to start rethinking of how exactly do we start setting a certain level of threshold or a way of quantifying this public participation that is becoming, a conversation of every process. And what I'm thinking is, how do people like you, PP, the rest of the people of media houses, but how can even our universities alone help us to even do credible opinion polls? We can't have to wait to see, I don't know, it's called what? The one that did some opinion poll recently, a fake one, talking about Kenyans have said they want impeachment. But I don't want to go into that. But I think there's a way we need to develop, especially the media houses. It could be you guys who own these platforms, or somebody, a credible body, pollster that can come out more than one, that we can start having a way of the pulse of the country, but also we start having a threshold of what percentage of the people need to participate in order for it to be called credible. How then do we collect their views and to be brought to the fore? And lastly, the issue of the recall that has been mentioned, that'll probably be my last one for today. The issue of the recall of the MPs, I think it's a very tricky area, and I think Fatima talked to it, but really, if you look at it and classify it into three, the key point is the timelines for the recall. The second point is the threshold of what is expected, what exactly constitutes, and of course, it's the same grounds that you see that we are talking about even in this impeachment. And then we need to have like 30% of the signatures of the registered members of that constituency. For example, if you come from, I don't know, Embakasi West, so we need to know the registered members to mobilize them. We need to have at least 30% of the signatures to be, and then now it takes us to another problem. IBS has to verify them. We don't have it. And then we have to go back to public participation. And then it's just a whole challenge that we need to start rethinking now, even as we talk about having IBC in place so that we can have a recall. How do we really get the actual meet the threshold for a recall? Then how do you go to engage a whole 30% when we know very well, even during elections, in some constituencies, we even have like 40% or 36%. In fact, if it's the size of Cliffy and all that. So those are the kind of challenges now. Start thinking now, how do we engage moving forward so that we can work with the system, empower them, have people involved, and then how do we really add our voice to make sure that those systems are put in place? So I appreciate PP for the opportunity. Good to see everybody, and I do hope that we continue to benefit from other submissions. God bless you.
Thank you so much, Justice for All, as well, for that submission. I see we have Frema Junior Cliff as well, and Rasji is about to rebuttal. Junior Cliff, habari yako? Lakini Frema tumemtupa sana. Frema, kabla tuwe kwa Junior Cliff, wacha tu tusikize ndugu Frema. Tumetupa Frema sana. Wacha niachilie jingle kwanza ya kukukaribisha ndugu.
4, 3, 2, 1, 0.
Welcome to Home Run with Pippi.
You're listening to the town hall sessions that happen here on Fridays here on Home Run with PP. On these town hall meetings, we basically listen to what the Kenyans feel about the general goings on of the country. And of course, yesterday and today, things have moved so basically in the past 2 weeks. Things have moved so fast, so seamlessly. From National Assembly to public participation to Senate hearing to the new deputy president. In fact, the former deputy president was impeached before midnight today, and the new deputy president appointee was ratified by parliament by midday today. Unajua nini iwak shift? It was launched on 1st until today, 18th. People are still paying cash. Anyway, Frema, talk to us.
Good evening, Peter.
Good evening to you.
Thanks for the opportunity. I'm going to be brief because the speakers alikuwa anaitwa Fatuma na Horizon, Horizon, as they've spoke out my mind. They've said what resonates with us actually, so I'm going to be brief. Sitaki nirudie sana. What I can say is that we still have a long way to go as a country. The problems we are having now as a country It's because, as said by Fatuma, it's because of our member of parliament. The Kenyan parliament is no longer independent. It has been captured and kidnapped by the executive. So they are being used as a rubber stamp by the president and the deep state to implement their interests, desires, and to fulfill actually what they want. So you saw even kama hii process vile ilikuwa, why the S iliharakishwa kila kitu mpaka hata unashindwa, like IBC clearance ikafanywa hata unashindwa hata
Frema umeenda.
technical issues today. Nanisikia? Am I back?
Sasa nakusikia. Yeah, you're back.
Okay. I was saying, as a country, we are minoring on majors and majoring on minors. Yeah, instead of the Kenyan government focusing on pertinent, pressing issues which are impacting on the ordinary mwananchi, wako hapa tu kuharakisha vitu yenye inataka kusuit their desires and interests. And that's why, as Fatuma said, we want to focus on parliament. Sisi vijana kwa hii miaka miwili, sababu ukiona saa hii rais ametumia parliament kama rubber stamp. Sasa tunataka hii miaka miwili tufanye civic education aswa kwa sisi vijana. Sisi vijana tujichague wenyewe na to make sure hakuna mtu anaenda kutununua kule bunge, ndio parliament iweze kucounter ama kukataa yale proposals ama policies yenye serikali ina initiate na inataka i go through. Nilikuwa naona juzi kuna mambo yalifanyika katika kaunti ya Nandi. There were ghost work, kulikuwa na mambo ya ghost workers and mismanagement in county government of Nandi. Na pia wabunge ambaye walipiga kura yes kwa ile nini the defunct nini bill 2024 bill.
Frema, make a network work for you, Frema bwana. Junior Cliff, habari?
Nzuri sana, habari?
Niko fiti sana, unaendelea aje?
Niko fiti. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you loud and clear. Talk to me.
Yeah, today is a kind of very sad day for me with what has been happening around our country. And this is not necessarily because of Mr. Gachagua's impeachment, but what I will term as a blind eye that's being a blind eye from the Kenyans, per se. In the Gazette headlines, we have Gachagua being impeached after 799 days or something. Then below, there's a small note that Adani is going to be using the title deeds of JKIA for loans. Now, our guys poached Adani because of the muscles and however they can improve our airport. But now they are going to use our titles to get the same money, which we could have done ourselves. Guys, it is high time we decide either to start now or start after 2027. And I believe
Oh, you're done?
Oh, amelost pipi. Amelost.
Nilikuwa najaribu kumtafuta nafikiria ni kama ni mimi ama ni yeye. I always said it's not you, it's me. Ras G. Ras G, unanisikia? Aya. Z. Now, you know, one thing that has hit me is okay. People are saying, oh, meacha kuongelea Adani. Unless you're in court, there is nothing kuongelea inasaidia, ama unataka kufungua space yako pia. Unless you're in court, there is nothing you're doing to address these issues. Because for once, kama ni SHA, it's working right now. So unless you're in court stopping it, you are just like me. So you cannot tell me what to talk about and not talk about what. Unanielewa? Mnanielewa tarakanidi? We have an issue, and that is why we ended up blaming everybody as a sold person. Unanielewa? Like, we are entitled to an opinion about everything. Okay. In our country right now, as you're speaking, there is a lot of what we call political heat. I used to be those people who used to say, I don't like politics. In fact, if you came to my spaces in 2021, if you spoke politics, I would kick you out faster than you even requested that microphone. And then when I finished my internship, my colleague got employed for another job because of his name, and then I was thrown out, and then I realized, okay, maybe this is it. So I realized I don't have the luxury of a powerful second name. That is, my dad is not in the capabilities of, imagine babako tu unamwambia dad, nimemaliza shule, niko na stress, akwambia acha nikuchukulie 600 hapa hivi wewe ndio ununue hoteli kababa. Oh my God. You see, so some of us do not have that luxury. That's why we are working on Friday evenings. Yeah. So I have to talk about these things. I have to dissect them. And you know one thing about the media are actually enjoying this drama because it's giving them content. Our struggle sana unasikia, wacha tuende kwa mtangazaji wetu anaitwa Anthony pale Mkuyuni. Kusema kweli Wakenya wamesikitishwa na ile jambo la kutolewa kwa bwana Gachagua. Wacha tuende kwa yule mtangazaji wetu Nyeri. Ukweli huko Nyeri wameona, wacha tuende huko Kisii. You see, by the time wanamaliza 1 hour imeisha, alafu wanarudi studio tena wanapata tena the same pundits wamekaa hapo tena. Anyway, as I said, my dad does not have the abilities of taking a 600 million loan, so I'm not going to be the one that is going to be begging for a politician's mercy. Kanyaga ye shingo venye mnakanyagana. Unaona mtoto unajua Keith na Charlene wako na high chances ya kuoana kuliko mimi na Charlene kuoana. In fact, if Charlene introduced a podcaster called Pipita, Eti dad meet Pipita, my friend. Salale.
This is Home Run with Pipi.
Eti anafinya nini? Computer tap tengele.
You're listening to Home Run with Pipi. Weekdays from 4 p.m. to 9 p.m.
Ebu Recho kuja. George, mambo.
Tumeletea wale jamaa wa spaces hapa.
Eti yule jamaa wa simu wamekuja. Ebu work hard, guys. George, ni aje?
You know, I saw today this gentleman, this very fine gentleman. His name is Osama Otero. I stole his KFC chicken sometimes back when I was in jail with, I can remember the name of the musician. And he was saying that it's time the president came back to the spaces. And he was willing to Tupac. I was in prison with Tupac. I just remember the name. He was willing to rehost the president on another Twitter space. But now, if you become in law with Mr. President, Pipita, it's where it's happening. PI squared.
Tap tengele. Mnajua hapo nitakuwa naongelesha kama relatives. Alafu nikiona anataka kwenda kama project anaenda kudanganyana na feature wig. Unajua sasa itabidi tuanze kucheza from inside.
Alafu unaongeza gole kidogo hapo. Inaingia. Gole.
Nimesahau Dadioe nalipelekwa round ujinga zingine.
Hata wewe unafikiria msanii anaweza enda ama mlikuwa mnafikiria msanii anaweza achwa aende awe mtoto wa president? Una akili nyinyi.
Dadioe nani alipelekwa kwa wazazi. Alikapelekana kwa wazazi. Na aliachwa hapo wakijiongelesha tu. Hata ako wapi? We don't even remember the guy.
But
nakumbuka kibieva kwa siasa. Yes, George.
I was raising my hand to point out to something you actually alluded to when you were reading the comments and somebody is telling you how to do things. I mean, isn't that now where we are? Reduced just to complaining instead of being proactive. It's how the police treated the demonstrators. It's how this person was arrested and now we are calling it abduction. It's the way they rushed the process. It's the way they were able to certify the appointment of the new VP. It's the way the headline of the JKIA was hidden in the bottom and not on the top of the list. It's everything you see that you object to, but you do not have an opinion of your own. I used to be with a woman like that. It's the direction where the house looked. It's where the windows looked in relation to the sunrise and the sunset. It's the car you bought. It's the shoes you bought. It's where you chose to go eat. It's the kind of tomatoes you brought home. There was always a negating opinion of something that somebody else have done. But record have shown us that anybody who has made any meaningful change, they set out there and created their own agency to be the change that they want. I put up a video of Kidiki 2 years ago when he was being vetted for a different position than the one for today. And he started saying, my name is Kidiki. I was born in 1972. I went to this primary school. Then I went to Alliance. Then I went to university. And then I became a lawyer. And then I mastered law in Pretoria and became PhD. I taught university in I taught law at Moi University for 4 years. And then I came to Nairobi University and taught for another 15 years. This guy has been on a path to where he wanted to be. And where we see him today is not the destination. He's still on a path. A more polarizing figure is the president himself. We see him for the first time at the age of 22, crossing the highway from University of Nairobi to Lydian Towers to join YK92, to becoming a member of parliament at 32, to becoming a minister, to becoming an influential figure even inside that YK92, to becoming vice president for 10 years, and making all things align in his favor. Because if the constitution had changed, if the BBI had won, then they would have thrown him out. If the other guy had refused to run, he told us that he felt like he needed to slap the fuck out of him, then they would have. So he made sure everything worked in his favor. But now we have a whole new generation